good luck. I call it skill. All right, here I go. Yeah, good try. Maybe try harder next time.
Hey yo, what it do? What it do? It's your boy Q. Welcome on into Battlegrounds HQ. It's day number 2 of Split 2, and it's time to get on down to it. We're starting off with APAC South, but we are indeed the home of APAC. We'll have APAC North up today. A busy day here, Stoney. You ready to get down to it?
Oh yeah, it's going to be good. We got AvC today for South, AvC for North later this afternoon, but we do have 6 games to worry about now, Q, and I guess we'll go show the team where we are heading for the first 3 games, and that is World's Edge, but in a dark side of things.
Yeah, we get to see World's Edge, the new changes here. We've got to, we get Sorting Factory back into play. We'll get to see a little change to the landscape. And then we'll be heading down to Storm Point for matches 4, 5, and 6. So no E-District today. But I do gotta say, when you look at the lobby today, Stoney, A versus C, I think was the lobby I was most excited for. I mean, it's a packed house here.
It is a packed house. It's the first time we get to see C group out here as well. So Aram, everyone on that right side of the screen is their first time out here today. So, you know, there's a couple of teams that I'm looking forward to watching. I feel like Bear Claw Gaming need to prove themselves this split. I feel like Void Esports OCE, one of the teams that have been most successful through the CC and APAC South, now getting their chance to make it into Pro League. And I feel like they're going to come out with a bit of noise today as well. It also is the first time we get to watch VK and Wolves go up against each other since they've had the swap with No Name and QQ. So there's a lot of stories out here today, Q, to be told, and we get to watch it all unfold in front of us in a second.
It should be a whole heck of a lot of fun. And also adding to the mix over in Group C, we get to see RRQ for the first time in Split 2 here for ALGS. It felt like after they had their roster change relatively late in Split number 1, they started to get things figured out. They were one of our first teams on match point even over in Paris. And then we also saw in the Reignite series, I guess, what was that, just last weekend, able to pick up a big dubski there as well. So excited to see what they can get put together. Again, looking to just how stacked this lobby is here today.
RRQs, I'm happy that you brought them up early because they're a team at the moment that I feel like might be in the most form in any team. Other than Wolves Esports, obviously, and Gen G Esports trying to go back-to-back sets here today on top. But RRQ, they need to start off this split because split 1, they started a bit slow. They obviously had the change with Metro and put in Easy Flash after that mid-season swap. But I'm going to be watching them today to make sure that they can start off their first day on the right foot.
Yeah, I feel like especially when you do look at teams of the likes that include Pricey and Strafing Flame, like when it's good, the going's good, right? But sometimes when things start to turn, things turn relatively quick. So you would definitely love to see them get off on the right foot. You also mentioned looking to see if Gen G and Wolves Esports would be able to carry over that momentum from what we had seen from them. I mean, what, at this point, like 14 hours ago, right? Gen G able to have a very strong back end of the set to come out with a dub in that A versus B lobby. Wolves finishing in second. But let's also not forget a team that surprised us yesterday that's also in this lobby, looking to see if they can carry over that momentum, would be HABNW.
Yeah, they played well. I think the first 4 games, they didn't go anything outside top 5. They had 1 win to start off the day as well. So they can keep that going today. They'll be in a pretty good position to try and get those points back up where they were also yesterday. It's going to be interesting now. We've seen the way Gen G play. Asia's now getting 6 games of Axel. It's exciting to watch because it feels like when Asia's was that guy that was always on Ashe, right? He's probably the most scariest Ashe player that was in the world, to be honest. And no one was ever getting banned Ashe, right? There was no Ashe bans. Now it feels like he's made that way with Axel. If they can get things going the way they did yesterday in that first match day and continue it on today, it's kind of scary for this rest of the lobby.
I mean, I remember when we saw Axel get released, you and I both had kind of talked in the background of like, this feels like a Gen G type of character. And we didn't really see them, you mentioned, not really catch much momentum off of the back of the Axel in split number 1, maybe a little bit in those final weeks after that big patch there with going into that last like round robin there towards the end of the split number 1. But they looked really good yesterday. Now, one thing I did point out at the end of yesterday, in their 2 wins, I think they had picked up I want to say it was like 50 of their 70 points. So I would like to see them start to pick up a little bit more of those points on average on those games that they're not popping off for a W, especially not so much regionally. But I think when we talk about all of our teams at the top of APAC South, especially when it gets that international play, I think that's part of the reason you hope to see more of that staple of consistency week to week here in APAC South.
100%. One player I'm keen to be watching out here today as well is Pricey. I feel like Pricey really got things going at EWC. In that Reignite Cup, when I was watching, he seems to be the person that they need on that team to really keep it going forward. And I'm interested to watch that team today, especially Pricey. So does look like we're about to get into game number 1. Q, there is only one thing left that we need to do, and that is go see where everyone is landing here on World's Edge for our first lot of games here of AvC of match day number 2. We have a massive day in front of us, Q, but let's have a look at the teams that are out here. And, well, Gen G landing at Thermal to start off here for these first 3 days.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, if this goes down to the thermal area, or even just in that bottom left-hand quadrant, when you combine them with S8UL, RRQ, and PXX also not having too far to rotate, those are some teams that I would not want to be around. I'll tell you one team I definitely don't envy for these first 3 games here as we do get ready for World's Edge would be Fury, especially as they were a team that did not quite have the day that they were hoping for yesterday, really hoping that they can turn things around here after a 12th place finish. They're surrounded by some fighters here for these first 3 games.
Yeah, they are. I mean, also, if you have a look at where VK are, I feel like they might send around pretty early. If this could be JR and No Name and Casa their first time all together, that's a team I feel like we probably haven't talked enough about as well. That team put together on paper is one of the most scariest. When you say it out loud, it's like, how did they get away with allowing this team having so many dominant players on their roster? But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how they go out here today for their first lot of games.
Yeah, it feels like it's the introduction of the Heatles back in the day in Miami, right? Oh, not just 1 match day, not 2, not 3. Wouldn't be surprised to see VK Gaming be able to wrap up quite a few. And, to be fair, I think probably fair that we spend more time talking about some of these other squads, because something tells me here relatively quickly on World's Edge, we're going to be talking about VK Gaming quite a bit. You and I talked about them a little bit before we went live yesterday, because it does feel like VKG is going to have to embrace almost that VKG of old, really being, the lions on the hunt out on the edge. And I would say if this is a zone that goes anywhere down south, they can first clean up some of these teams around them that I think we would agree probably would feel like they feel very much the favorites in those isolated 3v3s against.
Yeah, 100%. I'm pretty excited as well to see how it works on that north side of the map with the war camp and the east village add-ins for this World's Edge. I feel like they're 2 really good POIs as well. So it's going to be interesting because we haven't seen yet where these zones are going to pull. We have seen a lot in scrims go towards that sorting factory area. So if that's the case, SWQ in a pretty good spot here for game number 1 to 3. We're talking about HABNW and about how consistent they were last night. Q, do you feel like that team now will just run with momentum? Because it feels like that might be the kind of team that we're looking at here for Split 2.
Yeah, I feel like a team that came in probably with not much of expectations. We talked about them a little bit yesterday in the sense that for HABNW, right, you've finished split number 1 in the 18 spot. Then you start with a very big day in day number 1. At this point, you feel like you're playing with house money. You might as well just continue to ride the wave while you're on it. And for them, I think especially looking at some of the teams also around them when we talk about these first 3 games on World's Edge, I wouldn't be surprised to see them in some early engagements.
Well, great start for us. We already have 1 DC, so we're going to have to get into another lobby, but we won't give you guys a BRB screen. We're going to keep on chatting, and that's what we know how to do best. Well, I'm not doing it by myself like PLQ. That was one of the most hardest days of my life. But now I have my great friend back with me here, Yo Boy Q, who we have also, he is an Australian now as well. We have claimed him as Australian, as we have all watched in EWC. He was claimed as an Australian by Lace. So if she's calling you an Australian, I think that is guaranteed Aussie passport, mate.
You know, I appreciate the nod of approval for sure. Always love the passion in the region. Been one of my favorite places to come hang out and watch some competitive Apex for quite some time. And really seeing what's been built, especially here at Battlegrounds HQ. So appreciate the nod of approval from the fam all the way around. But you mentioned here, as we get ready for game number 1, Stony, I got a question for you. What are the 3 teams you're wanting to see pop off the most, or what are you expecting to see pop off the most here?
I'm really hoping for an RRQ early pop off today. I would really like to see Gen G do the exact same thing that they did yesterday and get an early win as well. Game 2 victory for them yesterday, I feel like really set the day for them in their confidence side of things. I feel as well there's a team that I want to see how they get things going to start off. Also would probably be Void Esports OCE. So I'm going to go my top 3 today. I feel like I was doing all right. I had 2 out of my top 3 were in that top 2 last night, but S8UL kind of let me down. I'm going to go VK Gaming, Gen G, and Void Esports OCE today for my top 3.
Yeah, I feel like I am expecting an incredibly big day from VKG for sure. So I'm going to have to take them as well. I think we're going to see Wolves continue to piece things together. Remember, they actually had themselves quite a bit of a lead going into, I think it was even game number 5 yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. A little silent on the back end there on E District. No E District today. I think Wolves also in that top 3. And I would like to also see, and I would have to agree with you, seeing RRQ in that top 3. I know that seems like a very easy top 3 to pick, right? It's definitely 3 of the names that we have seen with quite a bit of consistency, especially down the back end of split number 1. But I guess give me the easy pickings here as far as for this lobby AvC.
But I feel like APAC South at the moment are in that position, right? I feel like we got, like we said, we had the 5 big hitters. You got your Gen G, your Wolf Esports, your VK Gaming, your RRQ, and your S8UL. So they're the 5 teams that we're used to picking, and they're probably the 5 teams that we're going to continue picking here throughout the weeks. But when you have teams like HABNW who are, you know, surprising us, they're teams out here that really want to make their name known as well. A team, well, they're not out here. They're in this next one, but Kurosami, we were talking about them a lot yesterday too, but they're in B versus C, which is tomorrow. Is there a team in this C group that you're excited to watch? Now, I said Bear Claw Gaming is one that I'm keeping my eye on as well. They seem to be letting me down a bit. I had them picked to making Split 1 playoffs, and they really just could not get things going after week number 1. I think they came 2nd in week 1 of Split 1. So it's going to be, I'm really interested to see how they go, but is there another team in that C group that you're looking forward to watching?
Yeah, I mean, I think Bear Claw Gaming, definitely a good call. I also want to see Dog Red. I feel like they were a team that towards the back end of split number 1 started to figure things out. They're landing at Skyhook, you know, a POI that traditionally yields a lot of success over on World's Edge. And we both mentioned them as far as in our top 3. I feel like I would be failed to not bring them up as a team that I'm looking for, but it is indeed RRQ. We saw them have a really good turnaround at EWC. Again, one of our first teams that was on match point in that Reignite Cup just last week. They are also able to pick up a Dubsky. Would love to see the boys over there for Strafing Flame, Pricey, and Easy Flash to have a big day here to get their split started off.
And we're talking about Dog Red. Dog Red did make Split 1 playoffs as well. Didn't have the greatest EWC tournament, but they're a team that are consistent in the Pro League side of things. And will be interesting to see how they go. Q, that's enough from me and you. Let's go and get into game number 1 of our AvC World's Edge starting up.
Let's go and get down to it. I'll be excited to see where this thing goes. as things go a little bit later in towards the day, potentially staging, or maybe do we even see this thing pull towards the relocated Big Mod? Either of those would be good news for both Fury and RRQ. You did mention Gen G landing down there at Thermal. I feel like Thermal hasn't been quite getting as much love as it once did, but maybe there's a chance it works out for Gen G here early.
Interesting set. We are looking like it is going to be a big Maud pool here, which is great for RRQ in game number 1. And as we said, it's the team that we're going to be looking at to try and get things going, and have to wait and see how that does go for them. I'm just going to have to reset, but that's all right. We can talk about the map for a little bit more.
Yeah, also really excited to see what maybe PXX can do here with relatively prio on the rotation, because PXX, as I did kind of I feel like I preluded to earlier during the pre-show portion, not quite the start that they were looking to towards their pro league yesterday, finishing down in the 10th spot. Good decent amount of points, but we did talk a couple of times yesterday, Stoney, how with the condensed schedule, don't really get much time to be able to VOD review, go back, look at things, and make those adjustments. Last split, you could have a bad weekend because there is a good chance that you were probably only playing one match day, but now every weekend you're playing 2, so PXX have to have a good bounce back here.
RRQ, 20 squads out here, game number 1, Fury. Very close by, trying to make their way into zone. They're in a pretty good spot on this northern side, as we know where it is pulling now. And Big Maud taking over where Landslide used to be. Seems to be a pretty good POI choice as well.
Big Maud definitely already paying dividends here for RRQ with that on their POI draft, using the 3rd pick actually for Big Maud. It feels like a decent amount of our teams prioritizing their POI draft for this first set of maps over here on World's Edge. So excited to see over the course of not only map number 1, but the rest, how they do pay off. PXX currently will try and get a lay of the land over where they're at Lava Fissure. They will get a little bit of information from both Beacon and that ring scan as well. So they'll be able to have plenty of knowledge to be able to set up their game.
Like Pricey and crew getting some KP already. It's like SWQ maybe trying to move in towards Big Maud. It's like Duozi was trying to get that kidnap. He will go down. So now they're left as a duo here for game number 1, HABNW. A team we were talking about who had a very good first day yesterday, looking to try and get their day started here on the right foot as well.
Yeah, you mentioned in the first 4 games, never finishing outside the top 5, but if I'm not mistaken, it was an incredibly strong game number 1 that got them off to a good start to their day. Right now, full sending into Big Maud. This is a trio that I wouldn't want to be pushing in towards, as it's RRQ. They've already been able to find 1 knock. They're also getting assistance from other teams that have pulled up in the area as well, and it will not be the start that they saw yesterday for HABNW, as they will be the first squad that's eliminated.
19 squads still alive, and it is RRQ who are, well, they're having a great start of the day so far. HABNW, I don't know why they needed to move into Big Maud so fast. They had a pretty good spot, but it does look like finishers looking to try and move in onto RRQ. And RRQ at the moment just need to hold off all of the lads who are trying to move into Big Maud, and they're doing very, very well at doing that as well. As we can see, BCG on the outskirts here of Big Maud, getting some KP over on Fury, with Dreamfire now looking to get involved.
Yeah, more teams pulling up, which means as these fights continue to prolong on the outside of Big Maud, it gets dangerous for those teams. The good news for RRQ is they have now been able to hold off the push from 2 separate squads. They got a team wipe onto one, and I think just a single elimination onto the other that was able to push them back. But for RRQ, mentioned they'll be able to kind of just sit down and chill. SWQ trying to see if they can get their game started, as Uzi already going to be able to find the first knock off the back of the P2020s, and stuck inside the corner will be an alter Q, however, that will pull them to safety.
RRQ, I don't know how they haven't hit purple yet. They seem to just be getting kills after kills at the moment. They're the only team out here with more than one kill. 19 squads still standing. Round 1, 50 seconds away from closing. As we can see, teams starting to make their way into zone.
Both wondering how RRQ was going to get things cooking, and for them, man, if they are able to hold things down at Big Mod where it does feel like this continues to close in on. I mean, it feels like most teams in the area are agreeing. It's of the likes of VKG who are just on the outskirts waiting for any sort of green light to be able to push forward, and instead they're going to retreat back, and understandably so. They'll see if maybe they can catch somebody inside of this tunnel. For now, I think they're by themselves. However, there is a good chance that potentially Mama Clubs ends up rotating through.
Mama Clubs trying to make their way through the tunnel. VK Gaming close by. JR, No Name, and Casa. Void Esports taking where HABNW were playing, but it's a decision that I still don't really understand why HABNW rotated so aggressively into Big Mod. That is okay. They have 5 more games to turn things around. VK Gaming now need to be careful as well, but they're pretty safe with it. Look like the only caustic really out here as well for JR.
Yeah, if I had to give any sort of defense to HABNW, I feel like I might have remembered seeing Void Esports pulling up behind them, but it's now Gen G who have already suffered a knock. It's Asia's who's trying to see if they can buy any sort of time to allow for Dexter to get their teammate Zicky back up off of the floor. And I think I had seen somewhere online, it might have been Jay Keith's posting up, that's Dexter's now the one making the calls over for Gen G, and we had seen again, a really strong day for them yesterday, and I'm wondering if part of it is a little bit of a change of pace.
And it does look like Gen G are going to get eliminated here at 18th position. That is Wolves Esports moving on in. Now they're going to take most likely the third party up here on the height. Black Hole now on the back foot. As we can see, they're chasing that last member. It should be an easy clean up. And it is going to be Black Hole getting eliminated. Wolves Esports very close by. Tine Esports Club going to rotate back towards Mirage and try to get a reset, but it looks like they've walked straight into Rendang. Is it Rendang? No, it's not. It's VK Gaming. No, PXX trying to get some KP as well.
They came back through their portal, and it was PXX who were waiting right on the other side. That's a big feels bad moment, and we had talked about for PXX trying to see if they could get their series started here in game number 1 after a relatively slow day yesterday. A couple of KP, not quite a full team wipe, but hey, that's still something. A couple of points on the board. Void Esports will fall as now all of our teams will start accruing those placement points here as well.
PXX being careful for now. Looks like a Ram down to a duo there. Getting into it. It's going to be Mama Clubs now getting down one more. There's only one man left standing. Sacto getting rid of Song Yu. They only now have to worry about a single man, but VK Gaming, they're looking to try and get involved as well, but they rotate back. SWQ, they've made their way into Big Mod as teams are making a safe play at the moment.
We talked earlier how, as far as here inside Big Mod itself, RRQ had been doing a good job of staying on their feet. Eventually, Strafing Flame does fall, but it still able to stay as a full 3. Dreamfire now trying to see what they can make shake. As far as over on this northern side, I would love to see for them to be able to get a pop-off. We had seen them be relatively quiet yesterday as well, Stone.
Beautiful shots by XD, Jackie Tan, and Pipe left standing. Oh my god! Rendanger just walking into these shots. XD downing 2. Now they get a chance to rotate in onto this. Pipe is down currently, but Jackie Chan and XD going to try and clean this up. The Altered drags back, and it does look like Rendang will be able to get a reset thanks to Lahim.
That's going to be huge here for Rendang to be able to keep themselves as a full 3. They're not quite in the middle of this zone, but they won't have too far to rotate in from where they're at. And they don't really have too many people around them. You see a couple of shots from Bastion getting sent across the way from the longbow. Unfortunately, neither of them being able to connect. But as that reset has come through, Rendang will now be able to see which direction this ring is pulling and figure out a game plan from here.
12 squads standing, round number 3, a minute away from closing. You see Wolves Esports on that south side, trying to rotate in through staging. We have 50 seconds left before this zone starts to close, Q, as they need to now make their way in to zone. We're going to have a look. VK Gaming still trying to figure out how they're going to get into that north side of zone as well.
Yeah, they've actually been chilling in this tunnel for quite a bit, and I think they've got the read that Tine Esports Club sits on this other side, and they know they have to push on through. I mean, this is early on in the series. Nobody's going to be rocking a Valkyrie looking to take to the sky, so you either have to come through this tunnel, or you have to go all the way around the outside, and it does look like that's going to be the call here from Titan Esports Club. So VK Gaming, for now, are going to be the only team down here on the southeastern side.
And have a look at the map. Dreamfire now trying to stay alive. You can see the positions that they put themselves in, and it does pull all the way back into countdown. So all the teams playing that side making a very good decision. RRQ trying to make their way in here for game at number 1 as well.
Yeah, we'd actually just off screen had seen them be able to rotate their way in through with that Wraith portal and have put themselves smack dab in the middle of this next ring. The only problem is Dreamfire sit directly on top of them. They know where they're at, and they're going to try and send a full bit of everything down their direction. Every nade that's in their back pocket. You see now the EMP also coming in, but that's not from Dreamfire. That's from a third squad. That will actually push Dreamfire back.
12 squads standing. Round 3 nearly finished closing here. Rendang rotating in. Out comes the cat wall. So cat being utilized very early here in game number 1. But Esports Club need to be careful. The Seer, the Crypto, and the Altar for Titan Esports Club. We've got 12 squads still standing. A minute until round 4 starts to close.
Still a couple of teams that are all down here on this southeastern side of the zone here now. You got VK Gaming, you got Titan Esports Club, and you've also got SWQ all left inside a big mod here, basically on the different layers. And just outside of that as well is BCG that's looking back in their direction. Mama Club's a little bit more towards the north of that. Looks like they're taking a fight, and it is going to be TEC Academy that's on the other side, and they are absolutely beaming, and it's going to be Mama Club sent back to the lobby.
Yeah, they dominated that fight. Now it looks like BCG looking to try and third party this as well. Now TEC Academy didn't have the best day yesterday, but they're looking to start off on the right foot here in game number 1.
Great here as far as getting things started in this first game, but now other squads looking their direction, one of them being BCG, the squad that you were hoping to get things cooking, and that indeed they're doing, as they've already picked themselves up a handful of KP and put themselves into a top 10 scenario as well. Rendang in a tough spot though, as it's Titan Esports Club that have come a knocking.
They have. Out comes the CQ. Will they take that down? They will. He's going to move in. There's 2 men left standing. A little bit crazy there from Bolin. And now they're going to be as a solo. It's a duo via solo. And they're going to clean this up. Basti's looking to try and get the res instead. Man, there's only 1 bullet. And they will get rid of Titan Esports Club. But that is going to be a very nice job done by Rendang. Basti now needing to try and rotate in, but this is where it gets a little bit harder for these teams. SWQ still alive, trying to hold off Dreamfire, who are on the height, and RRQ still alive on the other side.
Contact with target.
going to be able to come out on top and put themselves into that top 5, as there's a couple of teams who are at risk of getting eliminated. BCG going to be the first team that will be taken out. You mentioned RRQ. They've been a little bit silent in the mid portion of this game, but have put themselves in a very solid position as they've got to be able to play around the cover that's built within this wall itself. SWQ already having a player down. It's Dreamfire that's on top of them. I thought for a second Dreamfire was going to full send. Instead, they're just going to go ahead and pick through the death boxes here.
I don't mind that wall. It stops them from rotating in. Wolves now getting in some trouble with PXX. It's a duo v a trio. QQ and Wen, two pretty scary players to still be standing for this team. Dog Red having a pretty good first game here as well, as RRQ trying to figure out where they're going to play here in this next zone close.
Unfortunate for Easy Flash, gets taken out before they can get themselves around the corner and into safety. And I believe that's Dreamfire now. Oh no, this is the other side. Dreamfire has dropped down onto SWQ, as SWQ now taken out. Top 5 scenario here. RRQ has indeed been able to get the reset. I think for them, now trying to use that drone just to get a scout of the lay of the land of the high ground that sits on top of them.
5 squads, like you said, still standing. Dreamfire trying to stay alive here. They need to figure out their play. They have the height at the moment, but it does seem like there is a team on that left side. That's going to be Dog Red, who are going to force the action. Killerpod needs to swing the corner. There's one man left standing. Dreamfire gets eliminated, and now we're down to our final 4 squads. Team RRQ, they could have used that to rotate in, but out comes the Wraith portal to try and play a position in this next zone. 30 seconds left until round 5 is fully closed. We have 4 squads left here for game number 1 of our AvC.
I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not fully bought in on this position that RRQ is playing from, but I guess it's the best from what you can do from the position that they were already in on the low ground, with the fact that all of the other 3 squads do sit on some sort of high ground up above them. Now, they are going to be able to place that mobile respawn unit just to have some sort of cover to play around. And Easy Flash will be able to scout out some information. They'll be able to see that fight that's going on between 2 of the 3 other squads. Now their only question is, where's the third?
4 squads. Dog Red and crew. Team RRQ, Wolves Esports still alive as well, and they're looking to start off on a pretty good game 1 also. They have, what is it? 4 kills. PXX out here at the moment, the only team with 7 kills. So PXX, Wolves, Dog Red, Team RRQ, not much separating these 4 teams right now, Q.
Quite a few of the teams that we were talking about in the pre-show. I'm curious who's going to be able to come out with the big Dubarooski. Only just a couple of minutes before these teams are all forced into one another. Wolves and RRQ both in sort of that low ground territory. It does feel like PXX probably in one of the better positions, but they will be, I think, one of the first squads that has to move, and that's going to be what makes their trek so tough.
PXX don't want to overextend. Dog Red now needing to figure out what they're going to do as well. Killerpos and crew. Nice to see our ult coming out. Maybe a little bit early, but they will need to rotate in. Out comes this ult to Q. They will need to send. This is going to be the cat wall coming out to try and save him for now. Down goes Easy Flash though, and it looks like we've got a lot of fights happening on the other side as well, with PXX getting into it with Wolves Esports. Pricey flips the switch here, and now they are getting the cleanup on Dog Red. RRQ going to try and get the box reset. Way. Dog Red down to a solo. While that all happened, PXX cleaned up Wolves Esports, and they have control of the east side of zone.
Well, they're going to be able to come up and clean out Dog Red, and they're still just the duo from RRQ down the low ground. No, they did stick the respawn, so the third player is back in, that being Easy Flash. Strafing Flame will be down, and it's PXX who were able to come in and get the cooking in game number 1. 14 KP to go along with the big Dubarooski.
Great game by the lads. over at PXX. We haven't talked about them at all, and they've gone, hey guys, we are still here. We know how to get some wins on the board, and that is a great first game from those boys.
It's funny because I was just trying to think back to split number one, and it almost feels like deja vu all over again. I feel like their day number one in split one was similarly slow, and I had said going into day two, watch out for him, and oh my goodness gracious, Pita, what are we doing? 12 kills, and all you needed was 2,100 damage. Kind of crazy if you ask me, but that is indeed bragging out.
That's a huge game by PXX. 14 kills, and like you just said then, Pipe with 12 of them. So doing a massive job for that team. 26 points for game number one. Team RRQ second, Dogred third, Wolves Esports fourth, and Dreamfire rounding out our top five. We're going to have a look at the series overall after game number one, and it is going to be PXX, RRQ, and Dogred rounding out our top three here for our first game on World's Edge. Let's go and have a look and see what we're used to seeing, and that is most likely Crypto out here in game number one.
20 picks of the 20 teams. Everybody was enjoying Crypto for the one game that Crypto was allowed to be around, but Crypto will indeed be taken off the board as we move on forward. The question becomes, who ends up getting taken off second? If I remember right, I feel like yesterday it was Seer that it very quickly ended up getting taken off the board. Alter made it all the way towards E District, and only time will tell if that plays out the same here. But game number one, done and dusted on World's Edge. We talked about the 14 kills. It was 5,400 damage as a collective for that squad as well.
Yeah, huge game from PXX. A lot of damage too as a team, 5,400 damage. And it's cool to see, you see the teams that take advantage of the Crypto when the Crypto is out early. And maybe the Pathfinder with the double grapples at the moment is a pretty good pick, especially when you can play as free as these players do when you have a Crypto on your side. So well done there from PXX with a huge game number one. And I guess let's go and see who took control with the top five kills and damage leaders.
You had mentioned Pite there, 12 KP, far and wide in the lead. 7 kills actually ahead of second, who was Pricey, who was holding it down for RRQ. Ronan as well had 5 of them things. Killapause and QQ rounding out the top 5 with 3 KP. When we talk about our top damage getters here, Stoney, however, let's see if there's any differences in those names, as it's Pricey who sits at the top with almost 2,500. Pite XD, Jackie Chan, and Killapause there to be able to round out the top 5 as far as that's concerned. So game number one officially done and dusted. And while PXX didn't necessarily get gifted his own, they didn't have to rotate too far. And it's been intriguing over the course, not only of, well, match day number one here in split 2, but over the course of even split number 1, it feels like either you're right next to where that thing is when you drop in, or you're all the way on the opposite side of the map. This time for PXX, they landed right next door.
Yeah, and it worked in their favor. And I feel like it's really cool to see the gameplay style with the Crypto. We see a lot of teams fighting very aggressively with Crypto. I feel like it brings out the confidence of the teams that are those entry fraggers and can kind of finish it off, right? So I feel like we're used to seeing great first games from Wolves Esports and teams like probably RRQ as well, who are able to utilize that Crypto in the right way. PXX did it perfectly here in game number 1, but let's go and have a look at the POIs again before we get into game number 2, so everyone can see exactly what we're talking about for PXX, because they landed at Lava Fisher and, well, they didn't have to rotate very far at all, but getting 14k PQ is a great way to start off the day, considering their rotating wasn't too hard.
Yeah, I mean, you figure of the teams in the, top 5, 4 of them all landed in that general vicinity, right? PXX, RRQ, and Dogred inside that top 3, all in the general vicinity. Dreamfire also in that 5th position. So we are seeing teams who are landing right around at least where zone number 1 was, doing a great job of capitalizing and getting some good points on the board, Sony.
I've noticed we've got S8UL on this World's Edge photo. Quite funny, but
Here in spirit.
yeah, they're here in spirit when they're playing at Tree. So whoever is at Tree is not S8UL, ladies and gentlemen. That is a little mistake. But World's Edge looking to be, it's pretty exciting to watch with the dark. I feel like it's definitely made a change.
Yeah, it's at least given us a new little bit of a landscape, but also obviously with a couple of the POIs changing as well. It changes just a few of the rotates, and I think for me, I feel like I've been enjoying seeing how it's been playing thus far through scrims. Only gotten to see it, you know, obviously a handful as far as action thus far through Pro League itself. But I very much enjoy it. I would love to see nighttime maps brought back more often, personally.
Yeah, 100%. Also, massive shout out to our sponsors for this stream throughout the rest of Pro League as well. We are broadcast partnered with the Game Expo, where we will be having, isn't announced yet, but there is a pretty big event coming in TGX next year, April 3rd to 4th. I'm pretty sure that weekend, where, you know, it'll be another Apex LAN tournament in Melbourne, Australia, which Battlegrounds will be working with TGX once again to bring you guys something amazing. With Leejoy powering us through this whole split, and it is a hell of a split to be powering us through. We're going to need as much power as possible. Well, my house is going to need it, but we appreciate everyone that is here as well, showing support, hitting that follow button, subscribing over at YouTube, because without you guys, we can't get these sponsors that can help us as well. So day number 2, everyone is loading up. Q, we're going back into World's Edge to see who is going to take this game. Now, is there a team that you're looking at that had a pretty bad start? Now, I'm looking at HABNW. That's very not like HABNW at all in that first game. I feel like they were probably a little scared to play that tunnel. They didn't have a defensive legend, and maybe their confidence in fighting 3-on-3s in that tunnel wasn't the case, but I feel like they could have held it for a little bit longer in game number 1.
Yeah, that push definitely was strange. It feels like maybe was feeling that pressure from Void Esports. Maybe thought there was an additional team coming through that choke as well. Them popping off with a 0. Definitely a little bit of a shocker. Gen G also putting up a big old donut in game number 1, sitting down there. There's 4 teams sitting with 0 points. Those 2 being down there. And we'll throw Void Esports in the mix as well. They were a team that we saw having a lot of success in Challengers circuit. Would like to see them at least start to see some forms of success here in the Pro League early. However, does look like they are going to have to work through a similar sort of rotate, maybe even going to a same sort of ending towards countdown. It's looking rather familiar.
Yeah, it looks like we are heading more towards that western side again of zone. So maybe a Mirage finish, or does it pull down to Thermal? Actually, don't worry about it. We're heading to Harvester here for game number 2, where Rendang are sitting pretty at the moment here for this one.
Yeah, Rendang will be happy about that one. They were able to pick up 8 points in that game number 1. Won't have too far to go. Gen G was one of the teams that we talked about picking up the donut in game number 1 down there at Thermal Station. Won't have too far to go as far as for their rotate. But if they don't rotate quick, they will have the likes of Wolves Esports potentially pulling up at a similar time. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. It does feel like Fury, however, have already gotten the read. They're the second team to pull up over right up on top of Rendang, and it looks like might even be looking for an early fight.
Looks like Rendang maybe being aggressive. Fury, they're going to try and hold one of the little sections down the bottom. Rendang understand this situation as well. They now need to try and hold zone, and as they see more teams rotate towards them, it will make a lot of sense. Exactly why teams are rotating in, as it does look like RRQ also making their way in.
In their way super quick, and they will also try to play down on one of those longer sort of nodes down towards the northern side of Harvester there. They'll be able to use those fences alongside the Watson, not only for the fences, but the Gen as well, to be able to hunker and bunker down as teams do come knocking at the doors. But for them, After that big game number 1 and being able to rotate towards where we anticipate this game is ending here in game number 2, just kind of vibe here for the early part of the game.
Wolves moving in, being aggressive to Harvester as well. It's Rendang that need to try and hold this push off. RRQ on the other side. Oh my god, this might be Wolves Esports maybe in some trouble. As I say that though, Strafing does rotate back, using the Wraith to his advantage. Rendang now getting a chance to relax as well.
I like the discipline, right? Like, yeah, you see the crack, you think you'd want to push forward, but you know there's already so many teams that have pulled up here at Harvester. Even just 1 extra second pushed forward, you get caught out, and it's big trouble. And for them, they'll look to try and play more as a 3. VK Gaming have already pulled up here as well to Harvester. They haven't been able to find their way inside just quite yet, but we'll see what kind of real estate they can find for themselves.
VK Gaming, pretty good shields already as well, by the way. They've got the over armor perk with the Watson, so he's basically on purples. And they found themselves a great spot. There is a lot of Watsons out here in game number 2 and not many Sears, Q. We may see maybe a Watson ban.
Yeah, it is interesting to see the little bit in the changes. The other thing that I was noticing too, we've already seen a couple of Gibbies, TEC Academy rocking the full-on baby comp. Seen a couple of other teams rocking just the lone Newcastle as well. We do have some teams that are out on the battlefield, like BCG. What is this portal? My goodness, what's the range on that thing, Stoney?
Yeah, that man just traveled from bloody WA to Melbourne. It felt like that was a travel and a half. Fury now looking to try and hold it down. But yeah, you're right with what you're saying. It's going to be an interesting first little bit of games here for this game too, considering the legend composition at the moment.
Seen a good little mix, and honestly, I always love to see quite a bit of diversity, especially in the earlier games as well. It's one thing when you have 20 cryptos, but we had seen in game number 1 for the other 2 legends, for all the other teams, we're seeing a little bit of mixture. It allows for teams to have that true skill expression and really be able to play into what fits best for their team dynamic as well. I mean, we saw yesterday HABNW finding a whole lot of success with a Pathfinder in game number 1, and also saw PXX being able to do the same thing here today in game number 1 as well. So you always love to see the off-meta picks. Here it's TEC Academy have found themselves right on top of the squad we were just on board with Fury. I don't know if Fury's going to want to be pushing up through that altar queue. I think right now with the baby comp, they'll be all right on the roof. Well, we'll see.
Not if they get kidnapped in a second. We'll have to wait and see. They just miss him right there. But we do have 20 squads still standing with round 1 a minute away from closing. So a little bit different without crypto in the game here, Q.
It's a bit different. Definitely not seeing those annoying EMPs coming through, which probably part of the reason we have seen more of those Watsons become more prevalent. You don't have to worry about anything taking down those pylons for your fences. And right now, Black Hole looking to get a little bit aggressive out here on this eastern side. Easty able to find a big thermite through the window here as well, ticking away some damage. Not quite going to be able to find enough, but it feels like Black Hole right on the verge of finding some early KB.
Black Hole can win this fight. I feel like they're going to have a great game number 2. I feel like they might be one of the only teams playing Mad Maggie. And Mad Maggie does come in very handy when there's a lot of Gibbies in the lobby. As we can see, a Ram. Well, they're going to have to try and stay alive as a duo. Beautiful shots coming out. This is a easy cleanup for Black Hole as they get rid of a Ram here in game number 1. And that is our first team gone.
Lucky for them here at this point. It's still early on. That storm doesn't hit for much as Finisher is looking to see if they can finish VK Gaming using that Newcastle to be able to at least get 1 player up, but it ain't gonna matter as SWQ will be able to sit them right back down. SWQ trying to get things going in game 2.
Finishers. Trying to get a Reese. Oh, strafing. Be a little bit too aggressive here. HABNW very close by. They put themselves in a great spot here. Q, which they were doing yesterday, but now it looks like RRQ need to get a reset, which they do as Strafing Flame rotates back towards the boys.
Back onto their feet, yeah, but And they're hurting in the shields department. I mean, granted, only 50 damage away is easy flash, but still rocking the white tee as more teams are starting to pull up here towards Harvester, not the place that you want to be. And as far as when we talk about those compositions, they're not one of the teams that's rocking one of the big boys. No Gibby to hunker down, no Newcastle. I know we had talked about the Watson. We sure see them really extending out those fences through the end of this little finger on this northern side of Harvester, which is at least allowed for them to play a little bit wider than their team composition you would think would allow them to.
Not the best shields on the lads, though, at the moment for RRQ. So they're going to have to be careful. Beautiful triple take shots coming out here from King. They do get one down on Jackie O. So now they can move in to try and clean this up. As you can see, we'll find this player as Sarah's in the hands at the moment of King. Nice little CQ as well. Nades coming out. They're chasing this solo. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to get Ning as Ning rotates back towards Loveday as they're making their way back into sorting to try and, well, sort out their team here at the moment. Tine Esports Club now worrying about a team on the right side who are coming out of tree. Well, no, that's just Jackie Overs, the knocked player. So round 2, 1 minute and 30 seconds left before it's fully closed. Let's go and have a look at what Gen G and Asia are doing out here at the moment.
They will find a little bit of damage, but they haven't been able to find any kills quite yet. They're still sitting on that 0 burger that they hung up on the scoreboard there in game number 1. And when you look at this team composition, though, man, that is a composition that can definitely snowball and compound down some KP if they get cooking out on the edge. So watch out if that's the case. For now, it's the longbow at a distance. Asia will find another knock, but I don't think they'll be able to do anything off the back of it.
TEC Academy getting eliminated by Wolves Esports. So Wolves Esports keeping their great start to the day going here in game number 2. With 17 squads left alive. HAB and W also trying to figure out what their play is. They don't have to do much. They're in a pretty good spot. Go and have a look at Dog Red as out comes that Maggie ball. The finisher's just going to have to eat that for now. 17 squads still alive here for game number 2.
Finishers trying to see if they can get their first points up onto the board. What's most important is being able to keep all 6 of their feet, all 3 players standing for now. Titan Esports Club getting aggressive as it's Orange, who will be sat down as our PLQ squad will be sent back to the lobby here early in game number 2.
16 squads still standing. Mama Clubs looking to make their way back into Harvester. Gonna have a look at Rendang as they're in a pretty good spot also. 16 squads still alive for game number 2. Void Esports moving into, I think, where HAB and W are across the way.
A lot of teams already packed in towards Harvester here. Part of the reason you'll see Void Esports tucked away and trying to play out of sight, out of mind, and they don't have much real estate to be dealing with. Yukoi gets a couple of shots sent their way as it does look like out on the outskirts here. It's Gen G versus PXX as Dexter and Asia's have both been cracked. Dexter's been able to at least get the bat off and will now try and use the alter Q to help find themselves a better spot. Asia's ends up getting knocked.
This doesn't look good for Gen G because at the moment PXX are quite scary after game number 1. They look pretty good. They get the first down, but as I say that, it looks like BCG might be coming in from the backside here to get in on the action. And it is going to be only Limo and Heck who are rotating in. And well, PXX down to a duo at the moment as well as Gen G Esports. Go and have a look at Wolves Esports though as they're looking to still be aggressive inside Harvester at the moment where it looks like game number 2 is going to be finishing.
Continue pulling down in this direction, and for Wolves, they know that they've got themselves a solid spot. I believe that was Void Esports on the low ground that they were taking some pop shots at. They haven't quite been able to find a knock, let alone an elimination to be able to push down to clean up yet. And I feel like even if they did, they know that there's so many teams here in the general vicinity of Harvester. I don't think there's any reason for them to be conceding this very valuable real estate position.
HAB and W still alive. 16 squads still alive, actually, for round 3. We've got 10 seconds left before it's fully closed as well. Not much really to be watching, as we can see teams trying to figure out where they're going to play and hold for this next zone close, as we'll see that zone pulls back towards Harvester with a little bit on that eastern side.
It's a tough spot for Dreamfire here, is the most western team in this lobby. If they opt to push through Harvester itself, it starts with RRQ, who we saw had a pretty solid game in game number 1. It feels like their team shot pretty solidly on point. Gen G were able to get themselves back up to a full 3, but Dexter ends up getting knocked. They'll be able to use the alter Q to be able to get back onto their feet and get grouped back on up. SeerQ will give them a little bit of information about the solo that sits on the other side, and that allows Asia to wrap this thing and let some shots off, and PXX will be eliminated.
Asia's getting some KP. That's their first points on the board, as well as the placement points, as now they all start to get one because we're 15 squads left in the lobby. Round 4, 30 seconds away before it starts to close. Gen G trying to figure out where they're going to play, and BCG underneath them with this rotate in. There's not much left on that western side of zone, so they will need to be aggressive here, Gen G, on this rotate in.
Yeah, a lot of teams that they'll still have to fight their way on through, and not much natural cover to be playing around. And Dog Red, after strong game number 1, only one player left standing. Same can be said for finishers, though, who sit on the other side. And who's going to be able to use their portal first is the question. Gaps ends up coming right on out, and it's into the crosshairs of the full trio from Dreamfire as Dog Red is eliminated.
Good job there by the lads. Dog Red gone, finishers gone. Not a good start for finishers, as they only have 1 point at the moment after 2 games. So we'll wait to see how they can get it going after this game. Void Esports, a team that I'm pretty excited to be watching today, trying to play and figure out their next move as well. They are in a little bit on that northwest side of this zone. They will have to move in, you'd think, after round 4 has finished closing. Game number 2. So many teams left standing. 13 squads into zone number 5.
All of them left is full 3 as well. Quick maths, I know, up in the top right-hand corner, but always good to keep an eye on. Well, at least that's for the time being. I thought maybe there was a second that Wolves Esports were about to lose 1, but Crazy Kong rocking that Newcastle will be able to get their friend QQ back up onto their feet, back to a full 3 off of the back of a reset here as well. One of the few teams, maybe one of the only teams actually right now rocking the Rampart in the lobby as well.
13 squads. Fury deciding to play on the outskirts here underneath the ramp. Wolves Esports still inside zone on that western side of Harvester. This is where it gets interesting, Q. These final moments when we get into round number 6 and these rotates in.
Still so many teams left alive. You talk about rotates in, there's not much room. I mean, every decision really matters here, and for teams like Void Esports still sitting at down in those 1, 2, 3 point scenarios, even like where Fury find themselves, you start to feel that pressure of needing to capitalize on some of these fights this late in the game. Noobles has the Krabby Patty in hand, trying to see if maybe they can make some sort of impact, find some opening for now. Titan Esports Club ends up getting taken out here by BCG, but they find themselves so far down south, I'm not sure that they'll be able to get the reset. Matter of fact, it's Black Hole that pulls up, and they'll take BCG out.
BCG get eliminated, but Mama Club's looking straight at the lads of Black Hole. They will need to get a rotate going, and it looks like they are going to start now, but it should be easy pickings for Mama Clubs with only 1 man left standing. Gen G Esports also getting eliminated. Black Hole down to a solo. 10 squads left standing. Round number 5, 15 seconds away from being fully closed. Dreamfire now, they have their hands full. They will get rid of SWQ, but this has given Black Hole a chance to rotate in and get rid of Dreamfire. But here comes the third party. That's going to be Mama Clubs getting some KP, but Fury looking at these teams as well, inside Harvester. Beautiful shots coming out from Lex and Noobles and Lockjan. Last two standing as Void Esports can try and get some KP and get their name on the board as well.
Ooh-wee, look at that kill feed light up like a Christmas tree here late in game number 2. Fury, the next team that's going to be eliminated. Wolves still left as a full 3, and they have got their position locked down at the top of this ramp. I don't believe that there's anyone down at the bottom side of it, but they will eventually need to leave this fortified position, potentially being able to still use that alter, get out of jail free portal back if worse comes to worse. We were wondering how RRQ was going to do earlier. They've been able to use that Wraith yet again, the portal, to be able to put themselves towards the middle of where this zone is heading. The problem, unlike most of the teams around them, they're still sitting on a couple of blue shields here, Stone.
Yeah, they are, and they don't have any kills on the board either. So 6 squads left. They need to try and get something going here, but they put themselves in a good spot here, Q, to get some KP and also get the victory, because teams on that height, they're going to have to drop down straight into those Watson fences unless we have some Hemlock breach charges coming out. We've got the Seer in the hand of Easy Flash. And I tell you what, it's actually really refreshing to see Easy Flash change the way he has been changing these last couple of seasons in Apex. You know, at the start of Split 1, he was on those aggressive characters. He moves over to RRQ. He's been put on to the Crypto and the Seer for game number 1 and 2, and still doing such a great job.
They're still staying alive, or RRQ down here on that low ground. It's still looking for that first elimination. Meanwhile, as it's Wolves that are on the hunt on the high ground, beaming their way on down. HABNW goes out in the 4 spot. Wolves waiting for their time to pounce on down and figure out which direction they want to play. They will be able to build some rather quick fortification once they do get into the low ground off of the back of that Newcastle and the Rampart. But the question is, what team's going to be looking their way, and can they get set up? Because it's RRQ who quickly pounces on them. Going to be able to find the first knock onto QQ, and the rest of the squad comes in and plays the cleanup. It's a fight for third, but Wolves Esports is able to hold it off, and they very well could turn things around. Instead, it's Mama Clubs who come out on top in game number 2.
Mama Clubs with the victory here in game number 2. They played that perfectly, but RRQ understood that they had to play for second, but they will finish second or third place, sorry, in that game with 0 kills. So only placement points for the lads, while Wolves Esports had 10 KP in game number 2.
Big value we saw there from the Newcastle. When you don't have very many of them, to be able to hide behind one, they had themselves the ultimate. They were able to put the big shield out, but then they were able to relocate one of the knocks, play behind it, stay live long enough for Mama Clubs to come in and clean up RRQ. And while, yeah, Mama Club ends up being victorious, they walk away with second. Mama Clubs, though, they got busy there in game number 2. 8 KP they picked up along the way, a 20-point game to be able to send them up the leaderboards and tie them up with RRQ.
Great game by Mama Clubs. Let's go and have a look at our match summary and then series overall, and it looks like this. Mama Clubs with a 20-point game. Wolves Esports gets second, RRQ third, HABNW, well, back into the top 5 once again. Void Esports getting top 5 in the second game here. Let's go and have a look at our series overall. And it is going to be Wolves Esports leading the way after the first 2. PXX sitting second, Mama Clubs third, Team RRQ fourth, and Dog Red rounding out our top 5 so far this evening. Let's go and have a look at our bans, because it feels like we might see something a little different compared to what we saw yesterday.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look on at it and see who ends up getting banned after game number 2. Showing Watson being tied in picks with Seer, but I believe Seer had been picked more in game number 1, I do believe, right? So that should take Seer off the board?
Seer is definitely off the board here in game number 2. So no more Seer moving forward. As we can see the bans here. So Seer and Crypto once again being banned in the first 2 games here of our World's Edge. And that is something we're used to seeing. We did see a Watson ban in game number 3 yesterday, and the way that she was picked in that game, I feel like she might be out here again in this next one.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Watson ends up being that next one taken off the board. You mentioned quite a bit of an increase in pick rate in that last game, which Mama Clubs ended up picking up the dubs key in, as we see on our screen. 8 kills to go along with almost 3,500 damage. So they'll join PXX as our 2 match winners on the day. We almost had 6 unique winners yesterday. It was Gen G who were able to stop that from happening in game number 6. We'll see how long the unique winners across our match day is able to last today. But 2 matches down here, Stoney. How about we look at some of our top individual performers thus far?
Let's go and have a look at who is doing all the work in this lobby so far in the top 5 kill getters. Well, Pite is having a day out after 2 games. He has 12 kills on the board. Wen with 7, QQ with 7, Sacto with 6, and Pricey doing what we know Pricey can do, sitting in the top 5. Wen keeping his streak going with damage. Now, this is maybe, yeah, you know when a good player leaves a team that's really good and then all of a sudden the guy that's on that backside, it's kind of like a Pippin, right? You're like, hold up. He's actually pretty good at the game as well. And at the moment, Wolves Wen is really carrying this team on all fronts at the moment. Pricey sitting second with damage, QQ third, Boland fourth, and Pite in the top 5 here after our first 2 games. It does look like we're not too far away from getting into game number 3. And it does look like the teams that we're used to seeing, Q, starting to get their names on the board out here.
Yeah, still seeing a lot of those familiar faces towards the top. Wolves picking up the double digit in KP to go along with their second place finish in that last game, allows for them to move all the way up towards the top. PXX still in the conversation despite only 1 point in game number 1, because they did have that big game. Or sorry, despite only 1 point in game number 2, because of that big game in game number 1. But yeah, Mama Club's finally getting to pop off, getting some recognition at the top. And then, RRQ, Dog Red sitting behind them as well. And I mean, honestly, I feel like even getting to see a nice little bounce back from BCG in that last game was pretty refreshing too.
100%. BCG, a team that I really feel like have been playing together a long time, enough now to understand what they're coming up against. And it's kind of a make it or break it, I feel like, for this team. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe this split 2 would be their last together if they do not make it to where they most likely should be, which is a split 2 playoffs. One team that we just saw getting a win, Mama Clubs, we haven't talked much about them at all, but they seem to always put themselves in a position, and it feels like nearly every split, you got Tracy, Dam, Sacto, and Lux on that team, but they seem to be a team that always put themselves in a good enough position to get a couple of wins, or even a win every match day, it feels.
Yeah, it feels like they always find a way to put themselves in position for like a game or 2 in a match day. But when it comes to being able to put a consistent 6 games together for a match day, I felt like was really where they struggled in split number 1. They were a team that, while they did make regional finals, they finished in 19th, right? Not really much to talk about. I think that's part of the reason why we haven't talked about them much. Because if it is, it's kind of in the way that we are right now, is that after they win the 1 game, and then unfortunately they aren't able to carry over that momentum. Maybe there's a chance here, though. This is the first time that we're seeing them here in split number 2. You mentioned they've spent more time together. It feels like they've been together long enough that they should have things figured out. So we'll see if they can carry that over into our last drop here onto World's Edge.
It does look like we're about to get into game number 3 as everyone is loading into this lobby. HABNW, well, I'd love to know their average placement, because I think they've had 2 games out of, 8 now, outside of the top 5. So, this team is really impressing me at the moment, Q, because they're putting themselves in positions to be able to get KP, but also the placement points on top is really helping them move up that leaderboard. They had a very slow game number 1, but in that second game, they had 9 points, and they only needed 3 or 3 more, or 2 more of those, and all of a sudden they're in that 30-point mark and sitting back in another top 10 position on this leaderboard.
Yeah, I feel like they've also shown an ability to be like scrappy and getting their points too, right? Whether it be, we've seen in yesterday's games one point where a rat was able to play late deep into, I think it was like a top 5, top 3 sort of scenario. There was a time yesterday as well where they were one of the first teams that had a player get eliminated. They had to rotate in towards zone. It's not like it's been easy for them, but they have indeed fought, they scratched, they've clawed their way on through, and they continue to find ways to put themselves into late game scenarios. So excited to see if they can continue that momentum forward. You mentioned after not being able to put any points on the board in game number 1, they've put themselves into top 10. Let's see what they can do here in game number 3, as it looks like we could very well be off the countdown one more time.
Countdown. Game number 3. We'll wait and see. As we see teams making their way into zone. Dreamfire by themselves at the moment here. PXX, well, they're relaxing a little bit over at Lava Fisher. They'll be pretty happy if they don't have to rotate too far once again. But so far, so good for World's Edge. It does feel like the teams on that northern side haven't really had much to play for. But it does look like RRQ moving in onto Harvester aggressively here for game number 3. And this is a crazy decision by these lads from landing at Big Maud full sending.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting because we have the information that we know it's heading up towards countdown. It does not look like RRQ have that info. I'm wondering if this is just pure, hey, we know that we are better than you. We know that we can outfight Rendang. We're going to go ahead and put it all on the table early in RRQ with an early wipe here on the Rendang.
I like it. I'm not going to lie.
I love it.
I love it. I feel like that is showing full just power in this lobby. And I feel like now Rendang are like, okay, well, we've got to be careful of RRQ. They won't be sitting at Harvester for too long this next time if they ever draft next to the lads one more time. We'll go and have a look at the 19 other squads out here. VK Gaming, who have had a very slow start. They had a good first game. But the second game, not the best. They're only on 5 points at the moment after 2.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be one of those teams. We did say we expect them to be one of those that does pretty well, lurk out on the edge, will be on the hunt. It does mean, though, you take one fight that you shouldn't, the third party pulls up, and even if you pick up a couple of KP, you still end up eliminated and not picking up any of those placement points. It's going to be something that we'll probably have to see VKG really find a balance of throughout the course of this split. I have no doubt that they'll be able to figure it out. They just haven't been able to through the first 2 games for now. We talked about the aggressive play of RRQ. They've now rotated back to Bid Mod, where they found PXX in their POI, and they said, this is our home turf. This is where we've come to stay.
And this is a RRQ I love to watch. PXX now down to a solo. That's Pites. And, well, HABNW, they're the closest team to be able to get rid of this solo Parfy as well as PXX Pite. I don't like his chances staying alive. RRQ at the moment, ladies and gentlemen, are here to play Apex Legends in AvC. They look scary good right now.
Bro, PXX, you pull up into RRQ's territory. They push you away and into who? Wolves Esports. There's not a worse place to be on the map than in between those 2 squads, with HABNW also overlooking the lay of the land as well. That was bad news bears for PXX no matter which way they chose. So unfortunately for them, they'll have to lick their wounds and watch the rest of this from the spectator spot, and they'll see if they can make anything more work over on Storm Point. It's Wolves who are looking to make something shake as they've been able to find a knock on the one from HABNW. Tasting Blood has been eliminated by Wen from a distance.
I truly don't know what HABNW are doing. They really do not like that tunnel. I think they've died twice now trying to escape that tunnel. It must be nightmares or something. As we can see, Wolves Esports now trying to make their way into Big Maud, and they'll be happy to play underneath RRQ. They do have the altar, so the kidnaps from below, it's very doable for Wolves, as we can see RRQ just setting up at the moment with that Watson.
there's any team that's going to feel at least somewhat all right with playing underneath the squad of RRQ, it's definitely a team of the likes of Wolves. We'll see RRQ will try and slowly approach this bottom floor. Pricey tries to find some shots from range, does have the triple take in the back pocket, and might be able to find some impact off of the back of that. A shot gets let go and doesn't find its mark, and off no real entry damage. It will be RRQ who'll go right back up to the top floor, and for now look to play things low and so slow. And why not? It's still ring number 1. You've already picked up some KP, and you're in a pretty good spot on the leaderboards for now.
Dog Red playing where they think it is, pulling back to command center, which is not a bad guess as well. Bearclaw Gaming, they put themselves basically in the same spot also as what we saw in game number 1. So all these 18 squads looking to try and play maybe the same rotate as well for this third game. Our last one on World's Edge before we head over to Storm Point, and we had some pretty good Storm Point games yesterday. Q, I'm pretty excited to get into them as well on this back end.
Should be exciting, especially because right now our top of the leaderboard is looking pretty thick right now. Going into this game, there was 5 points that separated first and fourth. That's 2 teams being tied at that 23 points, and I do believe both Mama Clubs and RRQ are both still left alive, looking to add to their tally here as well. We do have RRQ and Wolves Gaming, who are still both inside of Big Mod. It feels like they're okay with sharing some real estate, but you do have a couple of teams in the general vicinity as well who are probably waiting for that fight to break out so they can add their names in the mix as well.
Interesting zone, this one, because it does look like it may potentially move out of where the boys are at Maud, but there is still a lot of Maud in that next one. So have to wait and see. Wolves Esports, they're just going to keep on setting things up as RRQ are looking to maybe keep on getting some sneaky little kidnaps here on the top floor.
Like the patience from RRQ. They know there's a team below them, but they're not overextending or over-peaking. They're not allowing for their curiosity to kill the cat, so to speak, right? You know there's a team there, so they're playing cautious, but there's no need to get into a bit situation of allowing that just 1 second too long around the corner to allow for the green light for a team like Wolves underneath you to send you back to the lobby. It's still early here in game number 3, and again for RRQ, the cooking's been good thus far. No need to rush it.
No need to rush at all for the lads over at RRQ. Let's go and have a look at Void Esports. They're rotating in, trying to be aggressive. Yukoi does need to be careful. VK Gaming, No Name JR needing to get things going because they aren't having the best start. Now remember, this team can flip a switch pretty quickly. The biggest thing for VK Gaming is that it wasn't just a single swap for VK. They have 2 new players on this team. It's not as easy as it was for QQ to fall into the Wen and Crazy Kong duo, because that team, well, those 2 players are so used to playing with each other that QQ really just has to fit in. With VK Gaming, they've got you basically say a whole new team, and that's going to take them a while, I think, to get used to that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, right? When you have a duo that are still together, you can kind of take your game and adjust it to the one new player that has shown up to the composition. Whereas right now, they're still trying to figure out, where everything fits, how to dot the I's and cross the T's, so to speak, within that composition. Some tells me they'll be all right once everything is all said and done, and maybe even as a couple of these few more legend bands come across, maybe there's still a chance that they could be one of those back end of the set sort of squads. We saw plenty of teams yesterday be able to add their name to the mix in this 3, 4, and 5 game portion of the series, Stoney. So there's even teams of the likes of TEC Academy who only sit at 4 points, who still have time to be able to rectify things here in day number 2.
Yeah, 100%. Fury now playing in a pretty good spot if it does pull back towards command. Locking it down nice and early. It looks like RRQ and Wolves Esports are sick of coexisting in Maud. One of these teams want to take it. And it does look like Strafing Flame's going to rotate back up to the height and try and get back to home. Wolves Esports were pretty pretty damaged there, but RRQ looking to try and reset back on the hot.
Oh, they will find a crack onto another one. Easy flash gets tucked around the corner just in time, and well, they've got that Watson pylon to get back to help with their reset a little bit as well. For RRQ, they've been able to get 2 of their players now up towards that purple shield, and I believe it was Strafing Flame I had seen was only about 300 damage away from getting themselves upgraded as well. We were curious to see how Void Esports would do adjusting to the rate of play at Pro League. They were one of the teams that felt like they were able to pretty well bully a lot of the other squads down in the Challengers circuit. They've adjusted decently thus far here today, and they've been able to look now here towards the mid game here in game number 3.
Void Esports OC HAB and W still standing as well, and it looks like they are in that tunnel that they were trying to get out of before, and it looks like they are getting a full reset. Also Dexter, Asia, Ziki going to try and get things going here. Titan Esports Club, the team on the outside that they're trying to fight, and it does look like, well, Gen G do get one down. And maybe do they decide to full send this? This is where it gets very interesting for a team like Gen G, who really need to get things going. And it does look like Ziki and crew are going to make their way in.
Yeah, there are a couple of teams that are fighting their way uphill and towards the north, trying to avoid this storm from adding a little wrench into the mix. Dexter with some big shots across is going to help be able to finish things up as far as this fight steps through the altar queue. Ring around the rosy as Dexter ends up being the one to fall down. Yesterday we had talked about Ziki being in an unusual position at the top of the killer leaderboard. Will now look to play savior for Gen G once more.
Gen G needing to get a reset. Void Esports now in some trouble, as Black Hole also in some trouble. It's a solo via solo, and it's a race into zone, and who can survive it? At this point, it is Yukoi, who will be on the height. Nice little get away from that fence, and they will get rid of Black Hole. So well done from Yukoi. 17 squads now left standing. We'll go and have a look as HAB and W have to try and make their way in to zone, and they are comfortably underneath now, but with QQ with the unlimited Kraber bullets in hand, quite scary to be playing underneath a team like this.
Yeah, I don't know how much longer it's going to be comfortable for this squad. You mentioned QQ with their hands on the Kraber and the unlimited ammo. That's a shot across, but ends up acting as a warning shot. If anything, that one finds a body and will be able to put that boy down. And will now look across to see if they can find another one. Tries to catch the toes, but can't quite get it there.
Yeah, it's going to be a QQ show, I think, right now with this Kraber. Unlimited ammo in the hand as well for the man. As you can see, maybe they're going to try and be aggressive again towards RRQ, who are still in Maud. And this zone does pull back to Maud. So the teams that chose Command Center, where it looks like it would, well, where it definitely went in game number 1, isn't the case here for game number 3, as we're heading to Maud, and which is good for the teams like Wolves and RRQ.
RRQ set up above Wolves, but Wolves do have that little bit of extra safety of being kind of in the depths of Mod, right? There's no one that can necessarily drop right up on top of them. VK Gaming, they're trying to find out their approach at this point, because they know that there are still teams left at Countdown that will be looking their direction when they rotate through, and Fury being one of those squads. Titan Esports Club ends up going out, and just now at this point, with round 4 starting to close, our team's starting to earn those placement points, Stoney.
Yeah, Gen G now going to be without Asia. Dog Red getting the KP, and it looks like they're going to be aggressive on the last 2 left standing, as Killerpaws looking to move on in. Out comes the breach charge to get rid of some of these fences. Void Esports also getting eliminated, and it is going to be RRQ overlooking some of these teams in Big Maud who are trying to find their way in. And I like how aggressive these guys are being, playing on the height now of Big Maud, holding it down, showing a lot of presence. As we can see, these teams rotating in. Well, Wolves, they have a pretty scary man out here that can stop teams rotating in as well, and that is QQ with the Kraber.
I feel sorry for all of these teams up north. You're telling me you have to rotate down into the number 1 and number 2 team in this lobby right now, being Wolves. And, oh my goodness gracious, you've got QQ who can just continue to let unlimited shots of the Kraber across the way as well. It will be QQ has to step through the altar. Q now does have the Prowler in hand, is able to land a couple of shots, and now rounds the corner to be able to find the elimination onto Fury as well, as the Wolves seem to have really caught in fire.
YRV moving on in. Beautiful shots. Oh my god. Oh, yeah. Genji Esports get eliminated. YRV doing what he can, but here comes the third party. Dog Red will get eliminated at 10th position, but that is beautiful by the lads to get rid of Gen G. Gen G now on the back foot going into Storm Point with only 5 points on the board.
Another quiet early start to their day. We did mention, though, Gen G, 50 of their 70 points came in 2 games. We'll see if they can find similar sort of success in 2 of the 3 down the back end. One of their wins yesterday did indeed come on Storm Point, so maybe there's still a chance for them yet. Wolves using their early games in a similar fashion to we saw them yesterday in that first series to put themselves ahead of the rest of the group. They do have RRQ directly on their tails as far as the scoreboard, but right now neither of them seem worried about each other, and they're just wiping the rest of the lobby.
Ultimate accelerant here. We are not alone. Look over here.
Wolves Esports relaxing. Dreamfire, they're playing pretty well on this outside. I feel like they're the only team I keep seeing up on my kill feed playing aggressive with this rotate in. SWQ also now holding it down pretty well, but Wolves Esports and crew really doing well. BCG, they are in a lot of trouble on this northeast side of zone. Walking over, last one left standing. Dreamfire down to a solo all of a sudden. Absolute chaos between these teams left standing on the outside of Morden. It was going to be a solo vs solo. Mama Clubs and BCG getting eliminated as Dreamfire trying to make their way into zone.
Things are getting spicy here now. 6 squads left, most of them being full 3s. SWQ is one of the squads that is still left as a full trio, trying to see what their approach is going to be here late. They do have quite a bit of cover that they can play around, but now at this point, the number 1 squad in the lobby is RRQ. We talked about the high ground they were sitting on earlier, and they still get a really good overlook of the land. They just have to figure out which of these squads they want to send first.
RRQ and Wolves still standing. I don't know what's scarier, QQ on the bottom with an unlimited Kraber, or RRQ overlooking you on the height with players like Easy Flash and Pricey still standing. 2 of the best players in our region. Now, Wolves Esports do need to figure out their play into this zone. If I'm RRQ, I'm probably relaxing the most out of any of these teams because they can just drop in late and land on these teams trying to rotate in.
It is worth noting, we keep talking about Wolves and RRQ over on this side. There is still a third team that is directly below them as well. So it's a third team that adds into the mix once both RRQ and Wolves do end up dropping down. We've seen RRQ be able to use their Wraith to be able to reposition, but I'm not sure where they can find a spot for now. We had talked about HABNW and the strong start that they had to their series, or to their split yesterday in lobby at number 1. Here's RRQ with that high ground, continuing to send shots across. Looks like Easy Flash does have that that ball available if they want to use that for a rotate in as well.
Strafing has put himself in a very interesting position. Where that portal is double jump, I think, all the way across to that, which is impressive. So, 6 squads left standing, and it does look like they are going to take it back towards that height, and they're in a very good position to get some KP. Look at this spot they've put themselves in, and it is going to be strafing, Flame and the boys trying to figure out how they can get some KP on the board. QQ now moving on in as well. He's gone back to the burst. He's not using the auto. He's going to go down. Crazy Kong needs to get a reset. We're down to 4 squads, and Aram still standing. We also have SWQ and RRQ, but the only team with the most members left standing is going to be the SWQ boys. It's 3 men still out here with RRQ on the height as a solo.
The only trio that is left.
Oh,
it
no,
feels
Wolves
like
are
they
back.
have to be favored to be able to pull this thing on back. No, yeah, Wolves are a full 3 as well, as they've been able to get back up to standing. They have the high ground. It's QQ who's able to find some big entry damage, but Crazy Kong still has full health, sitting on the other side of the fence, has the breach charge as well, uses the storm to their advantage, and Wolves take home the W in game 3.
What a game from Wolves. This team we need to start talking about a little bit more, because this QQ addition is really working at the moment for the lads over at Wolves Esports. That is their second win in 2 days, and they look good here after game number 3.
And they've looked strong. They've started today with 3 top 4s thus far. Remember, they were our second place team in game number 2, and then they popped off in game 3 with a 24-point win off of the back of those 12 kills. QQ leading the way with 7 of them things.
That's a huge game by Wolves. QQ doing what he does best. Wendo, look at the man's damage. 2,800 damage, 3 kills still. Absolutely dominating this lobby at the moment is WenXX. Wolves Esports with 24 points in the first place. SWQ gets second. RRQ with a really good game as well. They get third. Aram fourth. And oh my god, HABNW get another top 5 here in game number 3. Let's go and have a look at our series overall and see what it looks like here after our first 3.
Yeah, you see Wolves sitting in first place. You mentioned it was 13 kills for RRQ, allowed a big game for them. They're still trying to chase Wolves down in that second spot with 43 points. Those 2 teams have pulled a bit away from the rest of the pack, though, as 5 points separate 3rd and 7th, while 16 points separate 2nd and 3rd. PXX in 3rd place, Mama Clubs in 4th, and SWQ to round out that top 5, Stoney.
Gonna have a look at what legend is getting banned going into game number 4, and it is going to be Watson, so no more Watson out here. And it is exactly the same bans that we had yesterday. There's a lot of Mad Maggie left, so we won't see the Gibby pulled out just yet as we'd like, but Mad Maggie's still on the board, which means we might see some pretty aggressive gameplay when we get into these Storm Point games.
Yeah, it should be really intriguing to see if, yesterday we saw, because we were on E-District, Alter ended up having a huge uptick for game number 1. I don't think that's going to be the same over on Storm Point, so we'll definitely be keeping an eye on what our legend bans look like across games 4 and 5. But thus far through 3 games, 3 different match winners, all of them putting up a pretty impressive amount of KP along the way. Those are our top 3 team performers. Let's go ahead and take a look at our top individual performers halfway through this series.
Let's go and have a look at who is leading the way for kills and damage. It is going to be QQ with 14, Pipe with 12, Wen with 10, Chago with 9, and Strafing Flame with the 7 to round out our top 5. For damage, well, Wen still sitting on top. When will someone beat him? I would rather say here, because Easy Flash is starting to creep up with Pricey right there as well. And it just looks like RRQ and Wolves are the 2 teams at the moment that are dominating the lobby with kills and damage. As you can see, QQ and Crazy Kong rounding out that top 5 after our first 3 games. We now have the next lot of 3 heading over to Storm Point Q in about a matter of 10 minutes, as we do have a little mid break. So once again, massive shout out to our sponsors, Lejoy and the Game Expo. Go and get yourself a drink of water, something to eat. We'll be right back with some more Apex actions here for APAC South. Remember, 5 p.m. SGT today, we're live as well for APAC North AvC. We get to watch Unlimit, the EWC Split 1 playoff champions in live form. So we'll see you guys right back here for game number 4 in just a matter of minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Battlegrounds HQ, where we're about to get into game number 4 here for our AvC on a Saturday afternoon here on Battlegrounds HQ. So far, so good for the big hitters, Q. The big hitters are out here. Wolves.
Yeah, I mean, Wolves and RRQ have run away from this thing far and wide from the rest of the field. And I don't want that to just sound because of the points, because they both have had very strong finishes in both games 1 and 2. But it's also been their slaying capacity. Yeah, eliminations, that's one thing. 26 KP for Wolves thus far through 2, 20 eliminations for RRQ. But to put into perspective how much damage they're putting out into the lobby, the third highest team right now is at, actually, Tine Esports Club at 8,000, and even they're pretty low in the scoreboards. 14K for RRQ, 16.2 for Wolves. So to be essentially 50% higher than that third place team is kind of crazy.
Yeah, and 101 or 130, 41 shots less Wolves have compared to RRQ, and they have a whole 2,000 more damage than RRQ. So Wolves at the moment, their accuracy is insane. They're shooting at a 29.7% accuracy, which is just nuts. So the boys out here from Wolves Esports really looking scary. And when you have someone like QQ that takes advantage of using that Kraber with unlimited ammo, really does help the lads as well. Let's go and have a look though at the Storm Point POIs, because that is where we're heading here for game number 4 of our AvC.
Let's take a look at it here as far as for those POIs, see what we've got going on. I feel like for me, seeing quite a few of our big hitters spread out here as we head towards Storm Point should be rather intriguing, it feels like to me, Stoney.
It's going to be a very interesting first game here on Storm Point. Game number 4 is what we're watching now, and we are all loaded in to get into this game on the way. You can see we might be heading maybe south pylon, or just pull back up towards uplift or launch pad.
Just realized I said all of our heavy hitters are spread out, and we had that weird thing where S8UL ended up on our the one overlay for the map, and that's where Wolves are. So actually RRQ and Wolves both up in that top left-hand corner of the map. So I guess let me retract that statement there. And both of them are going to have quite a bit of a trek, as it does look like we're heading down towards Devastated Coast, which is going to be good for the likes of teams like Dog Red, who have had a pretty decent start to their day, as well as HABNW, Rendang, and Void Esports.
And Void Esports now can use this to their advantage and get things going as well. The game number 4. It'll be an interesting set of games coming out here, Q, as we feel these back end a lot of games. You're going to see maybe teams looking to try and get some more points, and I feel like we definitely might see that from Gen G. So Gen G needing to get their day going, they might be pretty aggressive here in game number 4 as well.
Yeah, here's the interesting thought, right? Because right now, obviously, Wolves Esports and RRQ are very far and ahead of the rest of the pack. But when you look at third, I mean, through 20th, really, even teams like finishers right now, you pick up double-digit KP with a win, all of a sudden you're looking at the podium. So I don't know if anyone's necessarily going to be too tempted to press the panic button just quite yet. Maybe there's a chance if some of these teams in the bottoms, let's say 5, still go out early again here early in game number 4. For now, though, it is BCG, a team that you had mentioned during the pre-show, Stoney, who were able to have a good start to split number 1, but then got relatively absent. They've been making some decent amount of noise here in this split number 2, day 2.
Yeah, 20 squads left standing. It looks like they have decided to full send to Orange, and that is another team that has really struggled today, Orange, at the moment. Now they're down to a solo, and they're going to have to rotate back, but Void Esports, they understand that there's only one man left standing. They could possibly send that and get some KP on the board as well and start this day off right here on Storm Point well.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see if they do opt to send, though. Surely they've seen at least a couple of teams starting to pull up in their general vicinity, and they know this building they're in is prime real estate for late game. And while, yeah, a couple of a couple of kill points would be nice to add to your tally, the real estate that you currently own should yield you more than that on the back end. And it does seem like for now, they'll just be worried about continuing to comb through these couple of pillboxes and figure out what kind of loadout they can set themselves up for in the mid game.
Finishes on the heights. Void Esports back inside their main building here in Launchpad. Let's go and have a look at Mama Clubs. It looks like they're maybe being aggressive as well as Sacto trying to stay alive. As it's TEC Academy trying to get their day going as well as they're rotating in. Beautiful shots from Woozy. Out comes the Maggie ball. They should be able to get it down. Down goes TR. And they're going to move in and be aggressive. It is a 1v2. Now it's a 1v3. As TEC Academy, they're holding their own. And they should be able to clean this up as well.
Yeah, the only problem is it does look like a third party now going to pull up to the third party. It might actually allow for Lukes to be able to get away and potentially make something happen for Mama Clubs, as it's Black Hole who has now been able to pull up and push TEC Academy away from this building. And while Black Hole isn't going to be able to pick up any KP off of the back of it, they'll be able to get some safety at least and comb through the last bit of the boxes that are left laying around.
And they're not afraid to keep on sending it at the moment here. Black Hole looks like they are going to move on in. Those nades are going to be huge. Needs to be careful though. Don't want to overextend. They know that there's one man on the outside and they are some beautiful shots. Black Hole will clean up TEC Academy. They need to try and get a reset here though on Easty as he goes down. And well, Woozy is going to be the last one standing for Academy, but he will get eliminated as BJJ cleans up that.
Allow for Black Hole to get themselves reset, and they'll continue making their way over towards Launchpad as there is no one else really between them and where they need to go. There's quite a few squads though between this little area, Devastated Coast, towards Launchpad. A couple of teams including Finisher, as well as you also have Dog Red that are over just by the man cannon as well. Finishers, however, a little bit better in the shields department when everything's all considered. Two players already up on the purple, and Kazan's not too far away as well.
Fury, BCG finding their way in. They're playing one of the fingers here at the moment on launch pad. Heck on the height, on the bridge also. So 17 squads still standing. Fury also trying to get some kills here as teams are trying to find their way into a zone to play and call home. Chizu for Aram, the last one standing, is Furio watching BCG above and playing it safe for now.
You know, I wouldn't mind where Fury was at if they had a Watson and the Watson was still available, right? You could play wide down there with the fences. You could play with the generator. Right now with Fury's composition, though, you don't really have much that's able to prevent teams from pushing in towards you. Like, yeah, you've got the catalyst spikes on the ground, but I mean, how quickly can that be removed and how easily can people just get right on past it and still be able to push into your position? This is going to be a tough spot for Fury to hold on to during the mid game.
It'll be very tough. Let's go and have a look at Gen G. See where they are at the moment. They're still at Stormcatcher, so they're going to be rotating in late. As per usual, getting their Evos up to purple before they make their way into zone. 16 squads still standing. We've got the longbow in the hand of Ziki. I wouldn't be surprised if Asia has the same, but he doesn't. It's going to be Dexter and Ziki with the long-range guns today.
Quick ring scan, though. Get a little bit of extra information for Gen G before they end up making their way down south. Mentioned, though, a lot of teams already down there. So Gen G, well, there's no one to really fight on the way down. Maybe there's a chance that they'll see Black Hole, who's basically halfway between them and launch site. Gen G, you mentioned, does have that Evo already farmed up. But if there is any time to get cooking, that time is now. 5 points through the first 3 games. You got to get to moving.
Gotta get to moving, and that's what they're doing. It looks like they might be aggressive on the teams trying to do the prowler as they're trying to rotate into zone. Not much action to be watched at the moment as teams are still figuring out their way in as PXX are being aggressive towards that echo side of zone.
As VK Gaming actually that they're pushing over towards, and if VK Gaming go out early yet again, could spell for a really start of the unraveling for this first match day. They would only still be sitting at that single digit mark. They'll retreat back all the way into Echo HQ, but I don't know if that's going to stop PXX. They're like sharks in the water right now, and they do indeed smell blood. They're sending shots still over towards the direction of VKG. They haven't been able to find a knock, but it doesn't stop them from feeling like they got the green light.
VK Gaming just needing to hold it down at the moment. Play aggressive as well and show their presence. Get their day started. But PXX with the shield advantage against this team as well could cause trouble here for VK Gaming. Pipe looking to try and rotate around the backside. They don't want anything to do with this fight here with VKG. They're going to prioritize rotating into zone, and it's not a bad idea by the lads as well. But down goes one of the boys from VK Gaming, as it looks like Killerpos has the Kraber out here in the field as well.
Yeah, they are rotating right into the crosshairs of Dog Red, although Killerpaws has actually pulled back a little bit further, which has actually given VK Gaming the room to be able to get their third back up onto their feet. So now VK Gaming will try and change up their approach here as well, but it's like potentially may have to worry about PXX still rotating on their back end and Dog Red still watching the front of their rotate.
VK Gaming looking to be aggressive. They do get the reset on the Sparrow. And it's been pretty cool to see Sparrow getting picked as much as it has been getting picked in the first 2 days, and it looks like the VK Gaming need to get themselves into a better position. Fury now, they're in a little bit of trouble. Inside launch pad, and it looks like they're going up against BCG to try and take the bridge off them.
BCG able to get Limo back up onto their feet, but Heck still knocked as well. Limo will be able to get the bat off while Heck gets pulled back up onto their feet. I'm really surprised that nobody has pushed into their location. It's eventually a Q that gets sent their way. The drill will force them into the high ground, but it's after they've already got both players that were knocked back up.
$16 squads. VK Gaming trying to rotate into a better position. HAB and W still alive. 16 squads still standing. It does look like Devastated Coast is getting majority of this.
It might end up still pulling more back down that way, which would mean that a team like Dog Red would be a huge benefit of it. They started pulling a little bit more towards their north, but they've still continued to be one of these teams that are the furthest south. They'll have to hold off from this push, as it does look like PXX has pulled up towards the party, as they are also anticipating this thing continuing to pull this direction. And we actually get the information on our screen just before we send things over to the POV. Dog Red has the read on this thing. It is indeed head to Devastated Coast.
Wolves looking to move in onto Dreamfire. A little bit of a fight on the western side of zone. Very hard fight this one because Dreamfire are playing it pretty well. Skynade's coming out. HAB and W getting eliminated at 16th position. Beautiful kickstart. Down goes Crazy Kong. Beautiful shots by 3MZ. The wall coming out as well. And it looks like Wolves might be on the back foot. VK Gaming on the top right corner. JR getting eliminated. QQ and Wen have rotated back deep into Pylon. Now it's going to be a tough rotate in because round 3, that has a lot of bite to it.
Does have quite a bit of bite to it, and they've got a long way to go. And they've got a couple of teams in between where they want to go and where they currently sit. One of them being the trio of Dreamfire. The good news, though, for Wolves is Dreamfire seem to have their attention split between where Wolves are rotating from, as well as shots getting sent their direction from Black Hole. Okay, we're good? We're good. I was worried. I saw him standing there for a minute, Stoney. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, please, not now.
I feel like they might just be holding it off for now to try and evac into zone. As we can see, Dreamfire getting held out by Black Hole. Easty with some beautiful control with that car. He will go down though, as Basti from Rendang is going to get some KP. XXF PS goes down, and well, this finger doesn't seem a really good place to play at the moment for Black Hole, and it looks like Genji Esports, they're going to move in to try and get some KP, but need to be careful because they got teams on the height looking down at them, and that is BCG getting some KP also.
I'll play down in that area that we were talking about before, and in a similar situation, due to the lack of the Watson, not sure if it's an area that they'll be able to play from. Fury still find themselves left alive, and they're on the northern side of where the zone is eventually going to close in. They don't have much natural cover to be able to play around over here by this cannon, but it does feel like they've at least been given the time and the space. I was going to say to reset. It does look like finally Nubles has picked up a couple of syringes to be able to get back up to full health, but also teams that are at full health and on the high ground or RRQ, they've put themselves in yet another phenomenal position, Stoney.
That they have, and they are looking real good at the moment. They don't have any kills in this game, but they are sitting comfortably in zone. VK Gaming, they get the reset on JR. They have some KP on the board as well. They have 2 points currently sitting, as we can see, Rendang. Understand that VK are being aggressive, and that they are. Oh my god, that was the quickest push, and that is Axel being used in their advantage. They get rid of Rendang. VK Gaming starting to get themselves on the board as well.
Little shades of maybe what we could be seeing the rest of split number 2 with just how quickly VKG pulled up and just how fast they laid down the opposition. They'll be able to push up in towards that high ground onto the bridge, and will look to move in from their position here. JR getting absolutely melted by the drill. Will be able to get the bat off, but half of their health has already been melted away.
Beautiful nades coming out from Strafing Flame. Out comes the kickstart. They do get one hit, and they are going to full send this. We're going to have to wait to see how we go. JR still standing, one of the most scariest players in this lobby. We'll need to try and be careful as that Sparrow ult is ticking away. The nice head hold here. RRQ might be in some trouble. It's a solo via solo. Pricey needs to clutch up. VK Gaming get eliminated from a team on the other side, and that is going to be finishes as Fury also get eliminated. We now have only 10 squads left alive. Pricey understands there's teams underneath, and Void Esports is stuck as a solo. That's Yukoi trying to figure out how to play this.
I love it though. Actually, Pricey pushes one of those players down, which might buy RRQ enough space to be able to get the full reset, as both of the players were still left alive. They were just unfortunately on their backside. Strafing Flame finds their way into safety to be able to find their bat. Easy Flash should be able to do the same as well. At the start of things, we talked about Pricey's ability to stay alive and keep the squad cooking. We're seeing it at perfect display on our screens now.
Now it's going to maybe get eliminated here. Strafing needs to play it safe. Void Esports go down, and now Genji Esports decide to join the party as well. They get rid of Apex VC, and this is the finishers not looking too good as Zicky's rotating in. Kraber in the hand, and boom, nut doesn't take the head off there of that Pathfinder. But Asia, Dexter, and the crew of Genji trying to get some points on the board here.
Must have gave bro a haircut across the way. Could have sworn that thing was gonna knock a noggin or two, but only finds itself a little bit of fresh air, unfortunately. Genji though are still left alive. 8 teams still left up here at this point. It's ALGS who gets maybe a little overly aggressive, but Dexter able to hold it down with the Prowler to be able to send some shots back and allow their team to fall on back and fully get reset. RRQ out in the 8th spot.
SWQ Bune, he's still standing, but no one knows he's there. He watched ALGS rotate in. That is a beautiful nade. AvC King, Tine Esports Club on the back foot. Ziki and Dexter now need to try and show some presence to Kraber. If he can get it down on this side, this will be able to help their rotate in. But playing this low ground also isn't a bad decision, but they do have teams on that front side of where they are going to be looking at them at the moment.
We were wondering if they could still get to cook it, and there it was the potential, but now it seems like they are truly starting to reach out for it. ALGS sends the kickstart forward, and that will allow for them to find the last bit of damage needed on that player below the stairs to find the knock. As an alter queue up, and finishers do end up getting finished.
Tine Esports Club, the solo, he's going to get eliminated. Genji Esports, ladies and gentlemen, are starting to wake up a little bit here. They have 11 kills sitting in a top 4, but Wolves Esports still alive as a duo, trying to get another good game on the board for themselves as well. As we can see, QQ trying to get the Q through with that altar to get their man fall through that rock. Won't be able to, but Genji Esports in the driver's seat right now to get their name on the winning side.
Genji, one of 2 squads right now that is left at full strength. It's them along with Dog Red, who sit on that ultimate high ground at Devastated Coast, all the way up in the sky. And will be another player that ends up getting knocked. Nice swing by Dexter as PXX will be sent back to the lobby, as it will be Wolves, Dog Red, and Genji in the top 3.
Man, this is what we wanted from ALGS and crew to start waking up, and it looks like Storm Point might be their game and their map here in APAC South. But it does always feel like they have a really good back end of games. It feels the Axle is used a little bit easier for them, and it should be an easy cleanup as Wolves Esports down to a solo. ALGS just going to send that man, and Wolves get eliminated. It is now Dog Red v Genji. Wait to see who's going to take game number 4.
At some point here, Dog Red have to push down to the low ground. The question is, can they find a way to do so safely or split up enough where they can catch Genji off guard? Because when they land, they'll have a second before that they can shoot, unless they do use that Alter Q on down. But the Alter Q essentially teleports their move, right? You'll see the kickstart gets sent out. Dog Red pushes their way on down. ALGS beaming with the Prowler. There's one player, though, that is still left up on the high ground. Eventually, they fall on down, and for Genji, it's GG here in game number 4.
That is a hell of a game by Genji to get the victory. They will get a 16-kill win. That is a 28-point game. After only having 5 points after the first 3, now all of a sudden they're sitting in that top 5 pretty comfortable.
Yeah, what, they were bottom 3, right, going into that last game, and a huge pop-off puts them right in within arm's reach of that podium, currently at 33 points, and look at it spread across the team as well. Dexter with 7 kills, ALGS with 5, Ziki picking up 4 as well. 16 eliminations is insane.
Yeah, that's a massive game by the boys. They look good, and they have decided to show up here in day number 2. This is their last set of games for this weekend. They don't need to play again tomorrow, so they get a nice little break until next Friday night. Genji with a 28-point game. Dog Red second, Wolves third, PXX fourth, and Tine Esports Club round out our top 5. Our series overall, well, is still going to be Wolves Esports sitting on top, RRQ sitting second, Dog Red third, Genji Esports fourth, and PXX rounding out our top 5. But let's go and have a look at what legend is getting banned heading into game 5.
Let's go ahead and take a look at it, since we do have most of our usual suspects at the top 5. However, an unusual suspect taken off the board here, heading into game number 5. No Catalyst? Since when does Catalyst get banned in game 4?
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Catalyst ban here. Another controller legend gone. That's Watson and Catalyst now getting banned. And Caustic and Rampart, we might see a little bit more of them if controller legends seem to be the way of the way at the moment.
Have to keep an eye on it for sure. I feel like we did not see nearly as much Caustic in the later games yesterday as we have in some of our other regions. I was watching a little bit of EMEA before your boy happened to fall asleep earlier today, but the same sort of trend continues when it comes to our map winners here. 4 for 4, and we ain't talking about the Wendy's value menu here, Chad. That's 4 different winners on 4 different games. A lot of our usual suspects, though, and because of those great performances, all 4 of those teams currently sit in our top 5.
Yeah, it's a great set of games so far. We had the same winners yesterday. Really, it was all different each game until game number 6, where Gen G run their second game for the day. And, well, funnily enough, it was on Storm Point. So Gen G looking pretty good right now, and they've woken up. Jay Keefe, he'd be loving that, the old Gen G man himself, as they are out here in game number 4 doing what we're used to seeing. Let's go and have a look, though, Q, at who is doing all the work for their teams.
Yeah, let's look at our top individual performers thus far. It was the Wolves and RRQ show when we looked at it before, as QQ still sits at the top of our top 5 kill getters with 15. Pite at 12, Wen with 11, Dexter with 9, and Keiju from Dreamfire rounding out the top 5. And we look at the damage, well, Wen still holding it down in the top spot, 7,500 damage, and we'll still have that Maggie to continue to pump it out as well. Pricey and Easy Flash holding it down in the 2nd and 3rd place respectively. QQ in 4th with 6K, and Limo rounding out our top 5 with just about 5K damage as well. So Stoney, that means we are 4 games down. We are about to be going back to Storm Point here yet again. And now time starting to run a little thin for some of those teams in the back half of the pack. I'm curious if there's any team that stands out to you in those squads, and why is it VKG?
Well, I mean, they kind of woke up a little bit then. They had 5 kills, and we could see they wanted to be aggressive. They kind of put themselves in a tough position when they went up. It felt like all the teams at that point were heading into Devastated Coast, right? So RRQ were looking at them, and then all of a sudden Void Esports were there, Wolves were there, we had PXX were there. Everyone had started to rotate in towards that Devastated Coast area. As VK Gaming were trying to do the same, unfortunately for them, there was some teams that were set up just a little bit better than VK at the moment. And it just feels like they're just that couple of steps behind the mark, and once they get that down packed, they should be okay. So lucky for them, they have another lot of games to play tomorrow.
Yeah, this is, of course, you know, you mentioned match day number 1 for them, so really still just kind of getting their wits about and getting their feet about them. Do gotta say, though, with them landing at Coastal Camp and that ending over at Devastated Cope, that's funny, I have a little bit of cope right now. A little bit over at Devastated Coast, you would have liked to have seen them put together a couple of more games. I do feel like also, though, in the bottom group of teams, a squad worth mentioning just because they did see so much success yesterday is HABNW. We had seen them a couple of times even today, still picking up top 5 finishes. But man, have they been struggling as far as the kills department. 5 kills through 4 games, which has put them in the back half of the pack and really in that bottom third of the pack, if we're being honest.
Now, yesterday they had a lot more placement points than kills as well, and that's what that gave them that top 5 finish. So they have 10 placement points, only 5 kill points. But we're used to seeing this in APAC South, right? Like a team that we're not used to seeing getting a really good match day, but then in the next 2 weeks, all of a sudden they disappear, and you're like, well, we know what they can do. They've shown us what they can do. Then they disappear once again, and it becomes hard for them to keep that momentum going. For HABNW, I think they just need to get back to what was working for them yesterday, they get themselves in the right spot. We can't take that away from them. They've had 2 top 5 finishes in these games out of 4. So they just need to get the kills on the board, and then they should be okay heading in to these last lot of games. 2 more games, 2 controller legends gone, 2 recon legends gone. Very interesting. Yeah, very interesting game so far.
Game number 5 coming up. Does look like we've got 60 of 60 in the lobby. It looks like character selection now going live, and starting to see a few more of the Pathfinders starting to come out here, which is interesting. What's also intriguing, we saw towards the back half of the game, even though we haven't seen as much of those defensive, you'd consider legends, you know, like the baby comps, right? We haven't seen much of the Newcastle, the Gibbies. We are seeing a little bit more of a ramp up of the Ramparts here as well, moving into this 5th game.
You know, we are. And it is going to be game number 5, what we're watching right now, chats. And it looks like maybe another North Zone for our 2nd game of Storm Points. Game number 5. Is there any teams out there, Q? Now, you said we were looking at VK Gaming, but is there any other teams on that backside you're looking at to really try and get their day going?
I mean, if there's anyone that is in that bottom half that I feels like needs it more than anybody, would be the Tine Esports Club Academy. Didn't quite have the start that they were hoping for yesterday. And we did talk a lot yesterday. It's one thing to have one match day, but with the unforgivingness of the current schedule, you can't have a bad weekend. And right now, sitting in 20th place would mean you're picking up no points towards your tally on the season itself. They've got to start moving with a sense of urgency here in Game 5.
I know that they do. Finishes in the best spot. We haven't talked much about this team. It used to be called Kukoi, now called Finishers. Not having the greatest 2 days, Q. They've been kind of there, but not there.
Yeah, see if they can piece something together here, though, with this thing pulling their direction at Stormcatcher. We've talked about how a lot of the teams thus far in split number 2, and they're in the general vicinity. They can pile points on. That was actually one thing that we were kind of knocking VKG for in that last game 4, with them landing so close to where things ended up down there at Devastated Coast. So we'll see if they'll be able to piece together themselves a decent game number 4 here. But there is a chance that if Black Hole want to get aggressive, it could potentially throw a wrench into things relatively early. There's also another squad that looks like they could be approaching that Stormcatcher from the south as well.
VK Gaming looking to be aggressive here into Pylon. So Pylon team. Oh my God, as I say that, Rendang get the 1, 2, 3. VK Gaming on the back foot early, and this is not what you want if you're a VK Gaming fan here for their first match day of the weekend. JR, the Sparrow, and Casa are still standing. They need to be careful because, well, it looks like Rendang ain't stopping on this rotate in.
Hey, you'd mentioned they pulled up there to Pylon, but AKBNW had already rotated up towards the north, so instead it was Rendang who was also rotating up from the south. They landed at Echo HQ that were essentially shadowing the rotate from VKG, and they just catch VKG off guard. VKG does eventually get reset, though, and now are able to utilize that high ground, that elevated angle, to be able to send some shots back. They've now also been able to upgrade those Evos up to the blue, and now get to push back with a little bit more resistance.
20 squad still standing. Rendang now pushed back because VK Gaming have now reset, and they get some confidence going here. VK Gaming can really make a change in this next 2 games. They are only currently sitting, they got 13 points, so not the best day for VK, but they still have 2 games to turn this around.
Yeah, I mean, Gen G just showed everybody in the bottom half of the group what's possible, right? One pop-off game, and all of a sudden you have the ability to be in the discussion of the top 5, maybe even reaching towards that top 3 heading into game number 6. And you mentioned if VKG starts to get that swagger about them, they will still be one of the most dangerous teams in any of our match days here in APAC South. So definitely not a squad that you want to scoff at, even when they are struggling through the first couple of games. We'll check back on in with them in a little bit to see if they can start to piece things together on that south side of the map. We had talked about finishers trying to get things together. The Maggie ball comes out, finds some connection, but Kassans does go down, as now that means VC and Weifu have to fall back and try and see if they can get a reset.
Going up against Orange, who haven't had a very good day either. So Orange looking to try and get some KP on the board. Finishers, VC and Weifu need to be and play this perfectly. See the team now rotating up through the stairs. A lot of teams starting to make their way in to the area. VK Gaming, they're being aggressive, and well, down goes JR, and it looks like Dreamfire are moving in on this team, VKG, and we may see VKG getting eliminated at 19th.
JR is down. This is what we talked about. When you take those early fights, there's always a chance for the 3P to pull up. And in this case, it's Dreamfire who said, ain't no party like that third party. And JR being down does put Wolves, or it does put VK Gaming, onto their back foot. They do get JR up, but for a second, JR does end up falling right back to that storm one more time. Dreamfire does not budge. They continue to look and send shots their direction, and VK Gaming is in some trouble.
Yeah, VK Gaming might be getting eliminated here. There is not much left for these lads to do. VK Gaming now with only one man left standing. JR and Lask has been put down, and the Sparrow needs to keep on running, but I don't like his chances of staying alive when there's a Pathfinder and a Fuse moving in behind you, and Dreamfire will get rid of VK Gaming at 18th position.
Oh, we said that VK Gaming had the potential after what Gen G had just done in game number 4. They're now going to have to rely on that same potential and need 0 mistakes in game number 6 if they're going to rectify their first match day here in Split number 2. Wolves Esports, this is their second match day, and it feels like deja vu all over again. In game number 5 yesterday, they were in a similar situation ahead of the rest of the pack. Let's see if they can finish it here with a W today.
Let's wait and see how this is going to work. 16 squads left alive. Aram, they're making their way into town. Armor clubs overlooking the teams in Stormcatcher, and that is TEC Academy trying to make their way in.
That's what I was talking about. Need to find a way to make something shake here, and well, they got themselves a good spot. Everyone else around them knows it's also prime real estate. No one's been able to take it away from them just quite yet. They do have Fury in their general vicinity. Fury is down up underneath them, so they don't have any ability to really apply pressure towards TEC Academy. TEC Academy will be able to stay here at least through ring 3, but if this continues to pull out east, they will eventually need to move.
16 squads out here in game number 5. Round 2 still a minute away from starting to close. Have a look as Black Hole look like they might be getting aggressive on the outside. They're on that very far eastern side of zone. Now, we've seen a lot of games pull out here, Q, and it looks like it could possibly do that as well, as Titan Esports Club are trying to clean this fight up.
Able to move over, and if they've lost one, unfortunately, can they get Easty back up onto their feet is the question. Right now, XX does have to be the lone magic maker. Easty's been able to at least tuck back behind these rampart walls. I don't know how long they'll be able to stay standing as now Orange makes their push to the door.
Enemy spotted.
Hemlock shots coming out. Orange needing to be careful. TEC Academy moving into Stormcatcher, trying to get their name on the board. Fury trying to play. Oh, I don't know. Esports Club get eliminated. That is RRQ moving in on that eastern side, and they are going to now take control of one of these buildings out here as well.
And I like this fact that you're able to take over some of the cover. You'll be able to have a couple of these rampart walls still scattered through the building as well to be able to tuck behind if worse comes to worse. It looks like there's a squad that rotated in through the skies. I do believe that was PXX who landed even further out towards their east. But with this building that they're currently played within, I don't know if our RQ needs to necessarily worry about them.
No, not yet. Through the lads. PXX very close by. BCG trying to figure out where they're going to play. A lot of fuses out here, Q, in game number 5.
Yeah, you know, I was going to bring that up because we've seen Fuse get played a little bit more in other regions, and I felt like we had lacked a bit of the Fuse yesterday in match day number 1, and I'm not sure if that was just because of the fact that things like Alter were still available when we were on E-District, and E-District is Alter's playground, so obviously one legend that hasn't been taken off the board yet, but I love it. Again, seeing legends that we haven't necessarily seen an abundance of in Split 1 now being used in Split 2 just tests our players' skill set that much more, which it should here in the Pro League.
That it should. As we see, 14 squads. Round 2 still closing. Let's go and have a look at this zone and see where everyone is landing. It's going to be pulling towards that eastern side here, Q. And you can see Aram holding out SWQ and Gen G still on the edge out near command, knowing that they do not have a single person close by.
Their normal Gen G thing, they'll wait for somebody out on the edge to pounce on, but inside of command center, they're waiting to be able to have Dexter get that scan to give them a little bit of information for where their approach needs to go for rings 4 and 5. Fury also have had a struggle as far as putting much of anything together here today, and they had a rather lackluster day number 1. So they've got to find a way to string things together here in games 5 and 6.
Dreamfire on the other side of where Fury have rotated towards. You need to be careful with Dreamfire. I think they have another team to worry about. That's Wolves Esports, who are holding the west side of this war, and QQ may be deciding, hey, let's rotate around the southern side and head towards that spider choke, but it doesn't look like Wolves are going to stress too much about it. They can still fight this team. HAB and W look like they might be down here as a duo moving into these last lot of games.
That's tough here. I have to play the remainder of this as a 2 with some of the most dangerous teams in the lobby in your general vicinity. At least they do have the stairs to be able to try and hunker down on. However, there's no one really defensive in their team composition to be able to lock down these stairs. For now, you're just hoping to catch somebody off guard as they, round the corner with their gun not drawn.
Yeah, no, so true, though. So true. As beautiful shots coming out, they do need to be careful. Look at Dreamfire. They're going to move and swing Wolves Esports, and it feels like Dreamfire is starting to get some confidence going. They get down Crazy Kong. It's going to be a duo via duo when with some beautiful control. There's only one man left standing. Dreamfire get eliminated. As I say that, Wolves just absolutely delete Dreamfire. HAB and W do help the cause, but now it looks like Wolves might be able to get a full reset on this west side and worry about rotating in.
I'm not sure who when dropped on there, but absolutely barrel stuffed them with the car, which just made it so easy to quickly delete them with the back end of that clip. Unfortunately, they haven't been able to get Crazy Kong back up onto their feet just quite yet. Luckily, it does seem as though no one's really encroaching on their position. So despite the delay, they should still be able to get that reset. As I say it, though, call it a caster's curse if you want. It's Dog Red who pull on up, and the dog wants a bone.
Yeah, red dog, Dog Red looking for red. That is blood at the moment, as Tasting Blood does get rid of Wen and Crazy Kong. There's only one man left standing, and that is QQ, who needs to stay alive. I don't like Wolves' chances here as they're about to rotate into the duo of HAB and W, but the zone does the job, and HAB and W, well, they get a free rotate in now with no team really on their south side. It does look like, though, as I remember, Dog Red still very close by, and they need to make their way in, and this is going to be tough because this zone hurts.
It does tick for quite a bit. They're trying to figure out exactly what the approach is going to be from here. They've got the evac tower, and they'll wait for the ultimate accelerant as well to be popped. That way, once they do hit the ground, they should be able to hit the ground running for Dog Red, but it's still going to be quite the challenge for them. Currently sitting in that third position. TEC Academy, we said they needed to start to up the pace. They're still left alive, although as a duo for now, Woozy's Wrecking Ball able to find its mark, but it's SWQ who are knocking, and they're a trio versus the duo. They've got the extra gunny in this fight.
Yeah, but Mama Clubs are doing really well. Vicosti proving to be too much to handle, and Mama Clubs get down 2, and it is going to be TEC Academy now down to a solo, and they might be getting eliminated here at 11th, but Mama Clubs need to worry about this rotate in because round 4 is about to start closing.
Trying to locate this last player. I don't think they realize they dropped down towards the low ground, unless maybe there is still a player I'm unaware of that is sitting up on the roof. Instead, it's shots that'll get sent their way over from their east, and now we'll have to have the storm directly on their tail as they try to make their way across. Sacto will at least be able to make their way inside of this building and be able to get reset with the bat. For Lux, not the same luck.
Genji Esports trying to get their day started again. They did have a pretty big game 4 win, looking to try and get a back-to-back here. They do have to try and hold these teams off on this western side, and that Q does come through just in time for Genji to be able to get a reset. Nades also coming out, the Sparrow ultimate coming out. He'll see the blue shields, and that will give them enough confidence to move in onto Fury. Fury down to a solo. And Dexter's being very aggressive with this rotate in, but they're taking control and getting rid of Fury very easily.
It has been so impressive to see after allowing the change in the IGL for Dexter to make the call. It feels like starting to build more confidence here as well. Kraber in the hand of Dexter as they'll look to try and find some sort of entry damage for either Ziki or Asia's to be able to capitalize off of the back of, as we do see Dog Red go out in that 7th position.
Kraber in the hand for Dexter. They can get a sneaky down here on these teams in this northern side of where they are. They will be okay with a rotate in, which will help them. BCG in the nut building down the south side of zone. They need to worry about a rotate in as well. PXX looking at BCG. Not many teams left inside of zone, but we're going to have a look as a Ram, Orange, and RRQ in pretty good spots right now.
Yeah, it feels like if RRQ can just clear a Ram that is in front of them, they should potentially have the power position, and there's a chance they could now actually play cleanup because Orange has pushed onto this bottom floor, which could very well force a fight between these two squads.
This is going to be good as well for RRQ because they're kind of not in, but they're playing that backside and doing it well and holding the West basically in the middle of this wall. Watching teams like BCG and PXX who are trying to make their way in. Some beautiful nades coming out. You can see these guys deciding to take the Pathfinder zip, and now we'll see teams starting to get into it as Genji Esports are going to move in behind and try and clean up BCG as well.
BCG gets cleaned up, and I think PXX very well could be the next one out, as well as Jackie Chan is stuck between Genji and RRQ here. And there it is, officially out in the kill feed. And now it's going to be Genji and RRQ who are swinging around the outside of this corner. It will be Dexter who falls back, as it looks like Asia's might end up getting knocked, and does indeed end up knocked. So does Ziki. Dexter going to have to be the miracle man.
Yeah, this is going to be tough for him, though. Very tough, and they will get eliminated. Orange starting to get their name on the board. Aram, Orange, and RRQ. RRQ going to try and get their first win of today, which is crazy. 58 points on the board. No W's for these lads. They're only 7 points away from Wolves, and Wolves have had a win. So to put that in to spectate, you know what I mean? It's an impressive day right here by RRQ.
How can RRQ find a way to either scale the wall or push through either of those chokes and round the corner and find any big entry, because you do have two teams that sit on the other side. Orange technically on the bottom floor of the building, whereas it's ARAM who do sit up on the rooftop. But both of those squads will eventually need to approach this wall that RRQ currently sit behind.
Orange. Trying to get their first win of Split 2. Putting the rampart walls out. Trying to figure out how they're going to play it. Jackie O with the Prowler. I do love the Prowler, that it is absolutely insane when it is auto. But even the burst, as we've seen QQ, how good he is with it. And that Thermite's not the best throw, but that's all right. They'll still be able to hold down this for now, as RRQ looking to maybe swing and make it harder. But RRQ, they're in the best spot right now to try and get this game 3 victory, as Jackie O's trying to hold it down and the boys are rotating in.
Eventually, Aram and Orange need to take a fight. Aram's already had a knock. Orange looks like they're about to suffer one as well. All purples for RRQ as they'll be given the green light. Aram gets knocked out. They'll scale the wall. Second player knocked, and it's too easy for RRQ as they take home game number 5.
Yeah, huge victory by the lads over at RRQ, getting a nice W. That is a game 5 win and a 20-point game for RRQ, heading into game number 6 with a pretty good lead. Well, not a good lead, but just in front of Wolves in first position.
And sitting at such a great scoreline too. Let us see a big old 6-7 in chat for me if you could. 8 kills in game number 5 for RRQ. You mentioned the 20-point game, and it's Pricey who leads the way, being efficient with their shots, finding 5 kills with not even 1k damage.
Yeah, we were talking about Pricey before we got into these games, about how impressive he has been as of late. And it's this team, RRQ, who are just very, very impressive at the moment. If you're an RRQ owner or even just a fan of RRQ, you'd be pretty happy with this team that they have right now for their org. Let's go and have a look at the match summary and series overall. It is a 20-point game for RRQ. Orange get a second place, Aram third, Genji Esports fourth, and PXX round out our top 5. And well, for the series overall, it's looking like RRQ are going to lead the way. Wolves Esports sitting second, Genji Esports out of nowhere in the top 3 after being bottom 3 after the first lot of 3 on World's Edge. Dog Red are rounding out the top 4, and PXX in the top 5.
A lot of our usual suspects in that top 5, and chat, your eyes do not deceive you. We're getting a Sparrow ban in a regular series of Apex Legends, as there will be no Sparrow in the playing field heading off to game number 6.
3 recons, 2 controller legends bans. Very interesting day here for bans. Very, very different as well. And as we know, the games change as the maps are different. But I haven't seen bans like this for a hot minute. So it's very, very strange. But I like it. That means more Mad Maggie gameplay out here as well moving forward into game number 6. We have one more game left here for APAC South AvC. But that's not the last lot of Apex that we'll be here today for. Let's go and have a look, though, at who has got the win so far. And I think that might be our 5th different team getting a win on the board.
Yeah, and I think that does now mean officially everybody inside of our top 5. Nope, I'm going to take that back. Not everybody inside our top 5. Dog Red playing spoiler in that regard, sitting in the 4th. But 5 of our top 6 teams have all picked up dubs thus far on the day. And well, going into game number 6, there's still a chance that we could get the 6 for 6 here for the first time in APAC South first split number 2. But now that we've seen the top 5 teams that have popped off through 5 games, let's go ahead and take a look at our top 5 individual performers through these first 5 games as well.
Let's go see who is dominating the battlefield at the moment. That is going to be QQ with 16, Wen, Asia, and Pite all on 12, and Pricey with 11 so far here after our first 5 games. And Well, Wen is going to lead the way for damage. Easy Flash is very close by to take that off. Wen, Pricey sitting third, QQ fourth, and Heck from BCG getting himself into that top 5 for damage here after our first 5 games. Let's go and have a look.
Look at that race to top 3 is wild.
It's
for
crazy.
damage, like.
It's getting a lot closer now, as Wolves have been pretty quiet these last 2 games on that kind of side of things. But let's have a look at these POI drafts one more time. As well, RRQ, considering they landing all the way at North Pad to win that game on the very eastern side of zone, or the map, pretty good job there by the lads.
Had quite a bit of a trek, but yeah, again, it feels like they continue to put themselves in phenomenal positions. They essentially wrapped up through that northern side, then down on that eastern side, like you mentioned, that far east side of the map there, and they were able to play things, it felt like almost picture perfect. They've been able to take over that top spot as well with a big old 6-7, and now they'll see if they can carry things across the finish line, or maybe, just maybe, can Gen G have those Game 6 heroics like they had yesterday?
Well, I do feel like one of those 5 teams definitely have the chance to get another victory, because it feels like they are definitely the teams out here today that just show so much promise every time we see them in these lobbies. And it's good to see Gen G making their way back into that top 3. I feel like usually when we see them have slow starts, Q, and it's, you know, not just like 1 or 2 bad games. They had 3 really bad games on World's Edge. They usually don't get it going. They kind of didn't work for them, but at the moment they're changing their games, and it's like that little mid break is really working for this team.
Yeah, and I was trying to remember yesterday, because for them it was Game 6. They had the second win. I think it was Game 2 or 3 yesterday, where they were at least able to pick up the first, where they were able to get some sort of footing. So yeah, Storm Point seems to be where they're at least able to get a little bit of magic starting to get put together, despite the fact that they really weren't able to find, I mean, anything over on World's Edge. But it does, you know, feel like we may as well get ready to take to the skies one more time. I'm looking around the lobby. I think we have managed to get all 60 players on in. And now it's all about the Legend Select. We mentioned how when it came to those Legend bands, we've already seen some unique ones taken off the table, of the likes of Sparrow, which won't be available here. So what do teams opt for now? Do we see more of the Axel? Do we see more of that Pathfinder, which seems to be a little bit more of a popular pick heading into this Game 6, alongside some Altars, alongside some Ramparts as well?
Game number 6, our final game here of the evening. And, well, we might be heading towards North Pad, and we were talking about it yesterday, Q. I don't think we've had a North Pad zone for a hot minute. Be good to see one come out here for game number 6. Everyone is in the lobby. Last game here for AvC, and we have only one more game day tomorrow for our first weekend of Split 2 to be finished here for APAC South.
We're only halfway through the day, as Tony mentioned earlier. We're now not just the home of APAC South, we're the home of APAC, baby. So make sure you guys are right back here about 2 hours once we get things all wrapped up and everything is all said and done, and we'll run things up for groups A versus C over in APAC North as well. You mentioned the potential of a North Pad-ish ending. Looks like we could be heading off at least towards the little kind of tunnels right off in front of it. And what makes things interesting here is that means teams that get priority are of the likes of 2 of our top 3 teams. You have Wolves Esports and RRQ, and that also puts Gen G in the likes where they like to be, which is hunting along the edge.
It's going to be good to see for Gen G. They might full send maybe Titan Esports Club, get some point from the ball. But look at this from HABNW, something we're not used to seeing from this team, being aggressive moving into Forbidden Zone, and out comes the Axel ult already. They're moving in. Beautiful nades as well. They're just putting all the pressure in on this team, but Ning puts down Black Road. And Orange now, they have their foot on the front pedal as Orange get the first down, and HABNW were trying to be aggressive, but it didn't work in their favor.
Talk about a big old feels bad, bro. You mean to tell me that you sent the couple of kickstarts, also you sent with the Q into the house with all of those nades and thermites, you can't find a knock, and you're the team that's first knocked? Oh, that's tough. And you know, for HABNW, part of the reason that they're feeling like they need to move with that sense of urgency is they just really haven't been able to find that same success that they found yesterday in groups A versus B, where they were consistently finding themselves in the top 5. Right now, sitting in the bottom 10.
Black Hole getting into some action. TAC Academy is going to get eliminated. VK Gaming as well go out. VK Gaming will finish with 15 points on the board after 6 games. No Name. This might be the worst lobby we've seen for the man No Name, but it may be okay. There's still a lot of game days left for these guys to turn it around.
Yeah, again, we can always look back to just last split here in APAC South, where a team started with a 0 burger day, and then we're still able to not only make their way to regional finals, but we're one of the first teams on the match point in that grand finals lobby as well. So there's still time to turn around the split, but it will be important for VKG to try and figure things out even before they take back to the skies here in less than 24 hours.
18 squads. Wolves Esports playing the Bloodhound as well. Very interesting. I was seeing the scan, and you can see obviously the players for a little second and they disappear and then they come back, and so no way they've got a Bloodhound. But Wolves are playing the Bloodhound here for game number 6, SWQ. They might be trying to stay alive as well. Go back and have a look as Orange are getting pushed here by Dreamfire, and they are going to be aggressive as 3MZ's trying to get rid of that rampart wall, but Ning will get the first down on Dreamfire, and they are playing this pretty aggressively and well as well here for game number 6.
Oh, and you got the Newcastle. They'll be able to push forward with that mobile wall. The Tactile not going to be used, though, as they'll just be able to push straight through the door, find another knock, and Orange will be able to push this squad on back. I don't know if they're going to fully chase the squad across the Pathfinder zip line, but they'll be able to at least have Cedo station for themselves here for a bit.
You have a look at chat 10 minutes ago. You said, can I get 6-7s in chat, please? It looks like everyone has listened to you and said 6-7. So we got a bit of 6-7s going for the lads over on 67 points, which was RRQ, who are still leading the way here. And they're in a pretty good spot on the northern side of Northpad.
Yeah, they landed up here at North Pads. They didn't have too far to go. They're trying to play at this little island pack on this backside, feeling like an island boy, trying to see if they can play behind these rocks and keep themselves in a good position for the late game. Right now, really not anybody who can send too many shots their way. There is finishers who can at least send a couple of pop shots, but they'll have to truly expose themselves if they're going to be really much of a threat.
HABNW in pylon. Rendang looking to move in. They won't. HABNW get a reset inside pylon and getting some KP as well, thanks to Black Road. But with 18 squads left alive, they will need to get their rotate happening now with 45 seconds left for round number 1.
They're curious if HABNW was going to be able to stabilize. They were able to do just that, and now look to be getting back into the mix. Be able to take that man can into the Forbidden Zone. I'm not sure if there's really anyone in their general vicinity over here. So at this point, really just more combing through, seeing what they can find as far as their loadout to be prepared for the mid game. Really, when you look at, I mean, the southern half of the map, there's really not much down here with them. Tine Esports Club, they've pulled up to where finishers were at, and they've been able to find at least an elimination onto one.
Yep. Playing down at Trident. Round 1 closing now. Finished closing.
There's an enemy.
Black hole. I see 18 squads left standing. XFPS. Black hole have had a couple of moments today where they could have really teared a game apart, but they just seem to fall over at the worst times. They have 17 points on the board, but I'd like to think that majority of those are probably KP because of the way that these guys like to play.
Yeah, I mean, they've just struggled with a couple of really unfortunate third parties before they can really put themselves in position to start picking up most of those good placement points. You are right, though, for them, of their 17 points, 13 of them are those kill points. They just really have not been able to find a good finish. However, the fact that they are sitting down at that 17-point mark, it wouldn't be unrealistic for a decent pop-off game to still put them in that top, like, 6 to 8 mark. So,
Mama Clubs trying to find their second win of today. Sitting in a top 5 situation. Oh, no, they're just on the outside now with top 6. BCG, they're sitting in the top 10 just, but looking at the lads as well out here in North Pad Trident area. 17 squads still alive, 40 seconds until round 2 starts to close.
still haven't seen much movement as far as in the top of our leaderboards of our top 3 teams. I don't know if any of them have picked up any KP just quite yet. When we had sat on board with RRQ, we do know that they sit on the most northern part of our map here, currently still behind that same island. BCG, team that you were looking at going into this match day. We talked about how they had a good start to split number 1, but couldn't find a way to maintain that same stride. It's currently in 10th. Not a terrible day, but not exactly the start they were hoping for either.
Mama Clubs trying to stay alive. I don't really like this building. I feel like it's probably the worst one to try and hold. They do have the caustic though, and I do like the caustic pick. As we saw that last game with the caustic in Mama Club's hands, they were able to clean that team up in in Stormcatcher, and they used it to their advantage. BCG very close to Mama Club still, but it does seem like the game has slowed down a bit as teams are rotating in towards this north side of zone.
Yeah, since most teams have made their way up north, they look up in that top right-hand corner. They know that there are still a lot of squads that have the ability to third party. And when you take away those top 2 teams, again, really, when you look at third all the way down to, I don't know, maybe 12th, 13th, there's still a lot of room for anybody in that range to be able to make things shake and put themselves into a top 5. Remember, those top 4 or 5 positions really yield the big differences in those total points for the split. So, I mean, nobody wanting to take an early stupid fight.
Orange inside Cascade, getting down a member from Dog Red. That is going to be Killer Pos, Gap Wang, and RRV on the height. Now we've seen RVZ do well in these situations when they are down and need someone to stand up. This man does it on a usual needed chance of that he needs to do it, but at the moment it looks like they have decided to rotate out of the action. Orange though in some trouble, and it is going to be Gen G Esports who have joined the party as well.
There are 5 squads, or at least parts of squads, that are all down here in this Cascade Falls or of the likes region. Gen G was one of the last teams that was trying to play the third, maybe even call it the 4th party, but they're not going to be able to find anything off of the back of it. You did mention that Vantage. We had seen Gen G find some success in later games of series and split number 1 using the Vantage. Let's see what Zicky can do with it here.
Beautiful shots coming out. Gets the man on the zip line. 17 squads still standing. Round 3 a minute away from closing. See teams trying to figure out where they're going to play. Basti setting down the Nexus portal just so they can rotate around that western side of zone, but they have their hands full because Orange now have made their way in as well.
Yeah, Rendang and Orange are about to be squaring off, and there's still a chance. And maybe there's Dog Red who could pull up as a third party to this mix as well. So if Rendang is hoping to be able to make it out of here safely, they either need to tuck tail and get out of dodge now or wrap up the fight. And it looks like they opted for the earlier of those two options. Gen G still overlooking the lay of the land. The sniper's mark in the hand of Zicky. Hasn't sent any shots off as of yet, as they want to make sure that they get the most value out of the last couple bullets in the chamber.
Void trying to play one of these trenches in North Pad. Aram do get the first down. Not going to be able to full send it just yet. They do have the ultimate if they want to queue through the wall, and Void Esports should be able to get this reset now. You can see Aram maybe deciding to full send it, but Void Esports doing well to hold this team back. HAB and W getting eliminated, and we're now down to our final 16 squads.
Yeah, they won't be able to make their way into the top 10, so not quite the same success that they had in their first match day, but definitely could have been worse. So we'll see where they sit at the end of week number 1 once everything is all said and done tomorrow. BCG hoping that their day isn't quite complete, trying to get back up to their feet into a full set of 3. Wolves Esports, you had mentioned the fact that they were rocking that Bloodhound earlier. Let's see if they can make something work with it here now.
Beautiful shots coming out from Wen. Just keeping the damage going. He has the 30-30 in his hand as well. Dog Red and Orange both being eliminated. As you can see, Wolves Esports trying to keep their foot on the pedal. Beautiful R9 shots coming out. Needs to be careful as Rendang look to move in and clean this up. Wen does drop down just in time. Beautiful little Q. Tine Esports Club getting eliminated. When's the last one standing now for the lads of Wolves Esports? And this is a job well done by Rendang, but here comes Gen G Esports to clean up both teams as well, as there's only a couple members left standing for Rendang.
Trying to see if they can pull off this Game 6 miracles the way they did in match day number 1. Not even 14 hours ago. They're still on the hunt out here on the edge of this zone, as it does look like another fight happening just in front of them. Mama Clubs now down to a duo. The kickstart will be sent out as they'll look to clean this thing up.
Yeah, they're going to move on in. And this is nice gameplay right now by Gen G. They're moving in very aggressively. They'll get rid of Mama Clubs. And the best thing about that Bangalore there with the smoke, getting rid of the caustic traps and the gas, which gave Gen G a chance to move in. RRQ now in some trouble, as it looks like Black Hole are going to swing the corner and try and get rid of this fight and get rid of our lobby leaders. Black Hole now, only one man left standing. RRQ get eliminated. We have 6 squads left out here, and I think RRQ will still maybe win the day, but Gen G Esports are still out here, and if they can get a victory, they might go back-to-back game days on top after a very slow start out here today. And look at the vantage gameplay by Ziki, as Gen G Esports are just having a lot of fun at the moment.
As I say, don't count them out yet. They're only about 10 points behind, and if I think they even just put themselves into a top 3 with a couple of KP, they should be able to get a majority of that. But right now, might have gotten caught overextending. Both Ziki and Dexter now down. Asius has to be the one to pull off the 1v3, finds a knock onto 1, but I don't think is going to be able to find the other 2 as Gen G goes out in 3rd.
I did not cast a curse them at all. That was their fault. I'm not playing Axel. They are. 5 squads now left alive. Fury deciding to play it slow. They could have swung out as well. It does look like the Wraith Porter will come out from Furious Black Hole, looking to try and get a win as well on the board. BJJ, XXX, and Easty still standing as a Rama, trying to get a reset as a duo.
I don't know if they're going to be able to, though. PXX pull up to the party, and they are getting shifty with it. The car in the hand of Jackie Chan, as Aram will be sent back to the lobby, now in the top 4, and PXX still could potentially put themselves into the podium and pass up Gen G.
Yeah, they're in a pretty good spot. They're only 10 points away now from Gen G. If Gen G cleaned up that fight, they would have been a little bit more happy with their position. Fury, they're just trying to get some more points on the board and make their day not seem to be a bad one here with a last win of the day. Black Hole, though, they have other ideas for this team, for Team Fury, as they look like they might be swinging and getting aggressive.
They are going to try and get aggressive here and see if they can finish things up before turning their attention off to the west. Black Hole, after not having maybe necessarily the best of performances yesterday, still have an ability to put themselves inside the top 5. They'll use that zip line to be able to push back towards their south, but it's right into the crosshairs of PXX. Jackie Chan, however, will be the first to fall as Black Hole look to stabilize.
Playing well at the moment, Black Hole, holding these teams off. We'll be able to set up here with the Rampart. Fury also now gives them a chance to get out of that little cave that they were stuck in, and they're able to play the game. 4 squads left alive. They have no KP at the moment, Fury, but they put themselves in a good position here, Q, to get a couple and maybe a victory.
See what they can pull off. Also behind PXX, which is one of the other full squads left in the lobby, is a solo from SWQB, who could very well help Fury in picking up the dub if they're able to pull off the surprise attack from behind. But now it's PXX who have actually pushed over towards Black Hole. These two teams are in the trenches and are going to look to take this fight. XX has already been knocked.
And that's Fury getting aggressive. PXX now need to be careful, but they're playing this perfectly. This will push Fury to either swing and play for third or keep on trying to hold this spot for now. Jackie Chan understands the situation, looking to try and get some more points on the board as well.
I keep waiting for that Sloan solo that's sitting right behind the duo of Pite and XD to potentially catch this PXX squad off of surprise and pull them off of this fight from Black Hole and see what that forces Fury to do, because Fury currently sit on the far eastern side of the zone. They've got, is there some there? They have no idea.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Shut up.
Yeah, he was hiding pretty well inside there at the moment, and it don't seem like they really know either what to do. Down goes Lexon, though, as he's trying to make a play. Black Hole will understand that that is probably the best thing to happen for them, as PXX now looking to maybe try and clean up Fury.
Black Hole's trying to see if they can make something shake from the trenches, but this is going to be quite the crawl to be able to ascend over this hill and be able to make a push forward. Fury ends up being the first to fall, and now PXX are looking for the lone solo. We know where they are. Bayun has just fallen back into the storm itself, and it will be PXX who find themselves victorious and push themselves and tie the top 5.
Yeah, PXX put themselves in that top 3 position and they get a victory on the board. But if be a tiebreaker situation here between PXX and Gen G for that top 3 spot. And what a way to finish off the day for PXX. I think that is their 2nd win on the board.
It's a big day for PXX. They've been putting themselves in good positions, and yeah, they do indeed break the streak, if I'm not mistaken, of us having different winners in all of our games here in day number 2. Not picking up too money KP, but the 6 that they picked up were important as they were able to get across the finish line and pick up the 12 placement points to go along with their win.
Let's go and have a look at the match summary for our last game. It is going to be PXX with 18 points. SWQ gets 2nd, Black Hole 3rd, and Fury 4th. Aram in the top 5. We're going to have a look at our series overall for AvC and who takes their game day win. And that will be RRQ getting their first game day done on top. Wolves Esports finish 2nd. Gen G win the tiebreaker, finishing 3rd. PXX 4th, and Dog Red will round out our top top 5. But that is PXX, like we said, second win of today.
Big for them there to be able to start the day and they end the day with the Dubberooski. It's the bookend day for PXX, and good enough for them to move up into that top 5 as well, which again for them, after it wasn't a terrible day yesterday as far as day number 1, but they were only able to climb their way up into the 10th position. So really able to make sure that they were able to save their first weekend of group play.
Yeah, great day by the lads out here. PXX with 2 wins on the board. We're going to have a look at who led the way in kills and damage. That will be QQ, Dexter, Asia, Pricey, and Wen sitting in our top 5. And well, for damage, see if anyone kicked Wen off top. No, they didn't. So Wen will finish on top with the 9.3k damage. Easy Flash sitting second, QQ third, Pricey and Strafing Flame rounding out the top 5. And it looks like it was definitely a Wolves and RRQ kind of day out here for AvC. Well, Q, that is it for our APAC South AvC. We'll be right back here in 2 hours for APAC North AvC here on Battlegrounds HQ. And from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate you guys all for supporting and hanging out with Battlegrounds HQ. No matter where you guys are in the world, we appreciate all the support. Q, let's send these guys out of here. And congratulations as well to RRQ getting their first match day victory on top.
Big W's to RRQ. Yeah, we hope to catch you guys back here in just a few short hours. 2 of them locked back in, whether it's over here on Twitch. If you haven't done so, hit the follow button, turn the notifications on. If you're over on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. If you're not on either of those platforms, go to the other one and do the opposite thing. And we'll catch you guys back here in 2 hours. Until we catch y'all back for the next one, man, don't forget, with everything crazy going on in the world today, be true, be sincere, game hard and love harder. We'll catch y'all back in 2 hours for APAC North. Peace. We're out of here.